3 The Fan. The Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima.
High fly ball deep left field. Wave goodbye. Over the green monster and out of the ballpark for Gabriel Arias. A 2-run home run, his 10th of the year, and that was majestic indeed. Base hit left field for Kwan. Here comes C.J. Capis, 4-0 Guardians. As Rocchio moves into second base, Kwan is 2 for 2, and now 44 runs batted in on the year. And now Manzardo with a liner to left field, racing over. Durant can't make the play. Into third is Jose. He'll round there and head home. Down to second. Manzardo's in there safely. It's an RBI double for Manzardo, and the Guardians continue to rout the Red Sox here in inning number 2. Swing and a miss. Book it. The Guardians come to Fenway, and they escape with the finale, winning it 8-1.
This is Cleveland Sports Radio, 92.3 The Fan.
Audio courtesy of Guardians TV. Hello.
Just like that, down to 3, Kenny.
Down to 3.
Just like that.
Now hold on, because I messed it all up yesterday.
There are 53 games remaining in the season.
Hold on. 69 plus 69. Dennis, 69.
Nice squared.
Got 4 people in there.
There were 25 before yesterday's game left.
Okay.
Now there's 24 left.
You know what? I'm going to double check it.
I did it on a calculator yesterday.
24 games.
Yeah.
24 games to go.
We did all
Well, I messed that up yesterday, didn't I? Lord Almighty. What are you going to do? I didn't carry a 1.
Get it right.
What are you going to do? So I think it's irresponsible to kill the Guardian season right now.
Which I've done like 7 times this year. How many times have you done it? Owen hasn't.
No. I think when they were in the middle of that 10-game losing streak, I was in a bad place. I was in a real bad place. So yesterday, you and I got into a really nasty cat fight about it, and I hope it doesn't evolve into that right now. I don't think it will, because I still think that if they don't make the playoffs, the people that you called words, idiots, whatever you were calling them, I think that they should get their chance to rip you, since you were so ripping of them about their ripping of the Dolans. And I still stand by that, and I believe that if they are officially out, I believe that they should get their say with you. However, I don't want that to get in the way of them making the postseason, because I know you're not very active on Facebook. I tool around here and there. And there's a lot of different groups. It's like, hey, join this group, join this group, join this group, join this group, join this group. And one, I forget who it was. I wish I could give it. It was like Guardians Fan Club something, and somebody had noticed that the Guardians yesterday, it was after the night game that they lost against the Red Sox, that it was that topsy-turvy game. They ended up losing. Kate Smith got blown up and the whole thing. That they had the same record as the 2024 Tigers in 2025. The Guardians and the Tigers at the same time had the same record, except a year apart. And so they were, implying that, hey, we could still make the postseason, where I thought, we'll see. I mean, there's 25 games left to go. I ended up getting the Nesson feed yesterday. I don't know what happened. I just clicked on it, and I'm like, what is this? I'm watching Nesson, which they were fine. It was just odd to see the Nesson. I don't know if anybody else got it on Spectrum or anything like that. Owen, did you get the Nesson?
Hershey's.
Okay. I got Nesson. And they were fine, but it was just a different experience. That's all. But if you're 24 games left to go, you're only 3 games out. I mean, the math is mathin' that you can do it. You have the Rays coming up as well. Mm-hmm. So, there is, and technically they're ahead of you, right? Yeah, they're ahead of you. They're 2.5, you're 3. So you can make that up this weekend. You can do that. It's just your margin for error is very, very, very small. So you really can't have a whole lot of error because you got other teams in front of you. But it happened to be a great night where the Guardians won, a bunch of other teams lost. The Red Sox are technically ahead of you, so you beat them, took 1 away from them, and then you're only 3 games out. So it's still possible. Owen is not sitting there running around like Homer Simpson with the pig saying, it's still good, it's still good. No, they're 3 games back. They're still in the hunt for this thing. And if they do make the postseason, you and I, after we had our blow up, I think we did come to an agreement here going, hey, Like, well, do you believe there should be shakeup, or do you think there would be shakeup? Because there's two different things here.
I was thinking something would have to happen to get the fan base back on their side.
Yeah, I think that's a terrible idea for them to do that.
Or it would just be apathy going into next year. And this is the one team, we've said this before, that absolutely cannot afford apathy.
Well, I was walking into the state because I think, honestly, that might be the thing that they could afford going into next year. That's why it's probably a real big deal if they just make the postseason this year. Because I'm walking into the facility yesterday, I had to interview Mason Graham. I didn't have to interview Mason Graham. It was a nice thing to interview Mason Graham. He's a fine young man. I interviewed Mason Graham yesterday for the preview show. And as I'm walking into the facility...
There's two Michigan men
I knew you were going to say it, you bastard. I knew it was going to happen. Just going to leave you like other people in your life. Anyway, I'm walking in, I thought about the Cavs for whatever reason. I go, man, they're the Ravens of the NBA. Like, the regular season, they're going to win a lot of games, but a lot of people are going to go, nah, who cares? Who cares? Which we got ripped by some people yesterday for talking about that, and I'm going, well, that was Zach Lowe's comments, not ours, about, the toughness and that being called into question, and Giannis. Like, go listen to Zach Lowe. We were responding to Zach Lowe. But that's beside the point. And then I thought of the Guardians, and I thought of you, and I just had to fire off a few tweets about kind of the state of all three teams. Because the Guardians just need to stay the course. They got a lot of questions. They got way more questions than answers coming up that they technically have a say in as the ownership, but they don't have a lot of control in because they're only 1/30th. And with a labor shortage coming up, or a labor strike coming up, possibly a work stoppage, and still the TV deal, like I don't know if you can just go doing cannonballs and making changes. Like, get to 2026, get to winter 2026, figure it out, get the T's crossed and the lowercase J's dotted, and then figure everything out with David Blitzer and move on, which is not a fun thing to say. It's not a fun thing to admit. But that's, I think, where the Guardians are. So it's almost like, hey, let's just keep the lights on here, and if you make the postseason, it's not the end-all, be-all what we wanted, but if you make the postseason, considering everything, I think it's been a fine enough year. I think it's really been a fine year. And probably if they do make the postseason... But see,
have you changed a little bit? Because before, I thought we had talked about if they had just made the playoffs, that was not going to be enough for you whatsoever. But,
well, no. I changed my opinion. I actually went down.
But it would change their expectations because they're just not that great.
I said if they get to the... If they get to the end of the season and we know we have 4 starters here, I think I'm feeling really good for the future. I'm not going to feel great about the future, but I'm going to say, hey, you did some things. You were able to get into the postseason. Considering everything that's gone on, I don't consider it luck in some cases, not to reopen wounds here, but I think you've done well considering. And I would still feel confident about Stephen Vogt. I would still feel confident about some of the young ball players. I'd feel confident about some of the guys they've called up, like George Valera. I know it's only been a game, but it's like, okay, like you bring these guys up and let's see if they can help contribute to you getting to the postseason there. Like that's something I think I would feel better about. So I really feel it irresponsible for me to kill them and not pay attention to the rest of the year.
Well, it's going to be tough.
Because there's 24 games left and there are only 3 games out.
It's going to be tough to... I mean, look, they are a 500 baseball team, as you said, 69-69. It's going to be hard for the amount of fans that have buried, not their playoff chances, but just buried the team. They're fed up with the ownership. They're fed up with the organization. They have things thrown in their face about not trying after they had an ALCS team a season ago. Now wondering if that was more of a fluke than anything, but that's not going to make fans feel any better about that they came back this year slashing payroll. That I feel like just making the playoffs for those fans that finally think they've got to win an argument for the first time in, how many years with this baseball team that have come out of the woodwork, quite frankly. And I'm always like, did they even watch the Guardians? And now they finally had a chance to vent their frustrations and try to signify or signal that they won the argument after all these years that they lost the argument. Are those fans really going to be okay with just a playoff appearance?
No, they're not.
Or if it's, put it this way, what if it is some awesome stretch run from here on out where there are theatrics, where there are come from behind wins, where there are walk-off winners to get them into the playoffs when it looked like all year they had no business in the playoffs? Would that potentially change how people feel about them?
If they made some sort of a run, I think it would change some of it. But if they don't make it back to the ALCS, I think a lot of people look at it as a failure.
Is this going to be a team that
I'm going to try to be a little bit more understanding, but we'll see how I feel at that time.
If they are dousing each other with champagne after a wild card berth that looked like there was no chance it was going to happen, that all those players will be jumping up and down, vote will be going nuts. They'll talk about battling all the adversity and how they learned so much about themselves, and they had some of the younger guys help carry them. And fans would be like, who cares? You slashed payroll.
Nah.
Are people going to be saying that then?
Maybe some, but I think in the moment, you have to understand the moment. And again, there's a difference between the ownership and the team. I can yell at Paul Dolan all I want, and if Paul Dolan's down there bathing himself in Dom Perignon, I'll go, I'll say, maybe you don't deserve it. I don't know how I'll feel at that time. But to make the postseason in baseball, I think should always be celebrated. You never know, it could because of the uncertainty of the sport and the money that's always going to be there that teams have or don't have. I think that it should always be celebrated. So if they make the postseason and they got the goggles on and they're spraying each other with booze, I'll be excited for them because I think that's a heck of an accomplishment.
So that and it is.
It's always an accomplishment.
It will be to any rational fan. That would be awesome, especially considering they were buried. Everybody, I mean, most everybody, me included, when they lose 10 straight games and look like they have the worst offense in baseball, and
of course,
then that was even before they lost the closer and one of their starters, right? So all that would happen, and so the difference is. Could be one game, whether you miss the playoffs or make the playoffs, whether you make the wild card or miss the wild card. That could be the fault line.
I think that what you talking about the 10 games?
No, I'm saying if they just get into the wild card by any means necessary, they just pull it off. That's going to be the difference on whether or not they get buried by the fans.
No. The immediate reaction, if they just make the wild card and they get bounced out of the wild card, the immediate reaction is going to be disappointment. And I think to the ownership, rightfully so. I think, again, if you gave Chris Antonetti and Mike Chernoff $250 million to spend this year, they're just going to spend the $250 million. Of
course.
And they would find the players.
Of course.
I don't think that they are going out there trying to pinch every penny. I think that's part of their job with this team.
This is a rare year where I've heard them get a ton of criticism, too, and that's why I want to know. Yeah. Going after the Dolans, congratulations. I mean, who hasn't done that for 15 years?
But when it doesn't go your way, you're going to deal with a lot of criticism. They had a 7-game losing streak last year when they went to the ALCS, and during the 7-game losing streak, they dealt with a lot of criticism. You do. Because if you're always going young, then it feels even worse. Because if you're always young, and they always are going to try to be young, then it's like, man, not even these young guys can even do it.
Yeah, I agree with Matt Derry yesterday. Matt Derry's like, well, you don't get to use the young excuse every year if that's the only way that you make your team. I agree with that. That's pretty dumb if you're out there and you're an apologist and you're the other way. You're like, well, they're young this year. Well, they're always going to be young because they're always going to trade their good players.
They've been a young team for so long, that excuse doesn't matter anymore. It's not where, the Tigers, they had Miguel Cabrera and Victor Martinez, and then they go young, and it's like, okay, they're young. It happens. With the Guardians, they've been young for so long that now you start to feel bad where you go, man, these guys aren't coming to fruition. And you can't get away with the fact that they are still one of the lowest batting averages in all of Major League Baseball, which is not going to be a fun thing if they don't make the postseason. If they do make the postseason, it's like, hey, you fought it out somehow, some way. You were able to focus when others weren't. You were able to get it when others weren't. You were able to win. And I give them credit for that. But I don't think it's out of the woods with the fan base. But I think it would calm at least some of the waters down going into 2026, because I don't think they're going to make moves going into 2026. And I don't want them to do anything drastic if they don't make the postseason. And if they do make the postseason, it's probably going to be a lot of the same people back in 2026 with a couple of moves here and there. I don't think you're going to Austin Hedges in a $4 million deal, but there's going to be a couple of moves here and there that they'll make. And we'll probably have the same arguments next spring that we had this spring and that we had at the early part of this season and through the halfway point of this season when things weren't looking very good for us. Where it's like, well, what are you doing with the ball club to augment the ball club? And then there's always going to be the belief, it's still going to be a circular argument. I want them to get to 2026 where we figure out what's going to go on in the wintertime with the work stoppage or possible work stoppage. If that gets taken care of, then I think that there can be a conversation again about, all right, I got to hold your feet to the fire. But at that time, maybe it ends up being David Blitzer who takes over. Because now you're going to have a firm, once you get the television deal done and once you get the work stoppage issue taken care of, now you're going to have pretty much a firm number about what the guy should pay for the ball club. And at that time, hopefully, he'll do what you and I have predicted, where once you first take over the ball club, what do? You make a splash. You make a splash. You get the fans on your side, you make a splash. I still think he'll run it like a business, and in 10 years, the Guardians, if they don't put a cap and a floor in, the Guardians are going to be the same Guardians. Yeah. Hopefully, it's going to be the same way it always has been, but I think he'll make a splash when he first starts out. Jason Lloyd going to join us at 7:20 this morning. Is Kevin Stefanski really safe for 2026 as well? Ross Tucker told the guys in the afternoon he is. And that might be demoralizing to some Browns fans. And coming up in 5 minutes, teachers, leave those kids alone on Friday nights. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, take us with you to work on the free Odyssey app and take that daisy dip with you to your living room, to your rec room.
It's a song about the best mayo. It has a yellow lid, and its full name is Duke's Mayonnaise. Get Duke's Mayo in store. It's got twang.
As the kids get back to school, get back to the football news you need. The radio home of the NFL in Cleveland Browns is 92.3 The Fan.
I said I'd do this on Twitter, and I'm going to do it right now before we get into this big story that Lyman has for everybody. Chaser84, Ken, I can't make fun of the gut, but he said he's also laughing at the Taco Bell story from a couple months back. I wouldn't eat it off my bare chest, as some fell out of the taco onto my gut, and I wouldn't do it because I said we're live on YouTube right now, and if you go there and make fun of my gut, I'll read your comment live on the air.
Okay.
And I've done that now. Well, he didn't make fun of my gut, but still. So we thank you very much. We're
Real
Bubonic
accountability
Plague.
right there.
Bubonic Plague says, "What's up, Ken and Anthony? I'm on my couch smoking a doobie."
Is that a continuation from last night or a start to the day?
Either or, I'm fine with it. Speaking of fun activity, Lima, go right on ahead. You found this.
Well, I saw this yesterday, and I wondered how controversial this would be anytime we get a story about what you can or can't do at a high school football game. Obviously, the focus is for everybody to be safe as can be attending a high school football game. It's part of Americana with our generation. Still remember going to those games, having a blast, picking fights with the kids from the other team. Of course, we don't condone any of that, and that's why they're talking safety big time. As we have this from
Tino Bavenzi, Fox
8
News.
Most of the rules that we rolled out to our community really are not new rules to our stadium.
Medina City Schools Superintendent Aaron Sable says there's a new focus on making sure students are staying out of trouble at football games. So some new policies are being announced ahead of the home opener.
We have encountered situations in the past of vandalism within the stadium during games. We've also had a few incidences of fights involving students. So to create a safer environment, a more organized environment that allows everybody to really enjoy the game, the entire game, is what the intentions are.
Mostly, students in grades K through 8 have to be accompanied by an adult family member. Grades 6 through 8 can be seated in the middle school Hive section. 9th through 12th graders must be with an adult or in the high school swarm session. No roaming is allowed. No spectating students are allowed on the field before or after the games. Also, no book bags or large bags are allowed into the stadium. This will be enforced at gates.
I think it's a change that we've seen at all venues, really across the country. Just making sure that there's a secure, safe environment with what people are bringing into the venue.
In Medina, Tino Bovenzi, Fox 8 News.
All venues?
All venues.
I got to walk with a parent at every venue in the country?
You're a 44-year-old man. I don't think you have to walk. Well, never mind.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that was standard for everywhere. Who knew it was such a punch palace out there in Medina?
Well, okay. So
there's a lot of tagging going on, too. It's
Yeah.
not just fights.
I've been there for a few of their games for Friday Night Touchdown.
Yeah, I've been there.
They have a very large student section. Very large. It's a whole end zone. And they're loud and they're coordinated and they have the themes and the whole deal, man. There's a lot of people and they're getting loud. But Tone, you're surprised. This is not the first time I've ever heard of this, and not as an adult. I remember they tried to do this at Perry when I was a kid. Like, hey, you guys better watch out, or you're going to be sitting with your parents.
Well, sure.
This was
there's
the
always
90s,
there's
man.
always the threat. We got in trouble all the time at our student section, but at no point were we not allowed to walk around a venue without a chaperone. Like that
Especially as a high schooler.
Yes. That's
I agree
taking away
with you
all
there.
independence from these kids. They can't be trusted at all. At all. There's zero trust in Medina for the students. They're just going to go out there and
just like a lot of
and
things,
cause a ruckus.
a few bad apples ruins
Yeah.
the whole bunch of Medina, and that's the way that goes.
I know we had a problem when I first moved to Avon Lake, and that's been, over a decade now, that they didn't have, it was only the high school had the high school section, and then middle schoolers just kind of did whatever. And they were definitely having pickup. I remember playing pickup football games behind the stands as a kid, even at games, right? And a lot of those kids were, and they added I think 1st through 4th now for us, or kindergarten through 4th, they don't have a section. You sit with your parents. But after that age, I think they tried to tell parents, like, hey, watch your 6th grader. And all the parents were like, no. Like because we're in this place that I know we're also in our community, right?
Yeah, of course.
I'm cool with them roaming and having a little bit of freedom from mom and dad. Well, then they just made a student section for them, and it's very controlled. And the principal from that school is over there with them.
Well, that's the thing. I got to tell you guys, like, I understand you guys are trying to have safety here, but I got to agree with Tone. As a dad, I'd be pretty annoyed because, like, all right, my 2 youngest, they're staying with me.
Yeah.
But we've talked about Axel, and I mean, he's my bartender at home. And if he wants, am I going to get up out of my seat for my oldest son, go down the stands, go stand in line? No, you want pop, you want chips, you want popcorn. Here's 20. Get the hell out of here.
And that's part of it.
That's the way I am.
My first memories of, like 6th grade. You felt like, now I'm a man, right? Even though you weren't, but you felt like, hey,
But you had some independence.
I get to walk around at a West Geauga football game. I get to talk to some girls. I get to actually talk to some girls and get made fun of by the 8th graders or the 9th grade. Get out of here, kid. Like, what are you doing here? Oh, I get to walk around with money.
It's true.
And I get to go up to the concession stand. Like, that was just all part of growing up. And if you're taking that away from kids, like, would you rather have them not go to the games and, go to someone's house where God knows what is happening, especially if the parents aren't keeping a watchful eye?
Parents who host lose the most.
That's right.
You better be careful.
If the parents are at the game.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Then there's going to be hell to pay when the old man comes home.
To me, this would be the first thing. Be like, well, I don't want to go to the game then. If that's what's going to be the case.
I mean, that's kind of the feeling of it because I remember my first ever, because I'm a psycho, I remember my first ever Perry High School football game. They beat Worcester. It was like I was like in 1st grade. I might have been in kindergarten, my first Perry game. I think it was in 1st grade though. And after that, my buddy Eric Perry's like, well, because he had older brothers. He's like, well, just come down with us. And then you just walked around. And I walked around.
That's what you did the whole time.
The end of my 1st grade to when I started in high school football to 9th grade. So that's all you did the whole time. And yeah, there was some times where some older kids, and it wasn't always hunky-dory. Kids, those were the times we didn't have doors on the stalls in the bathroom. And I told you that one time where I'm using the bathroom, and this guy, he had to go number 2 badly, and he just starts yelling at me going, get off the can! Get off! It ain't nothing I ain't ever seen before, man! Come on! And I was like in 3rd grade. His kid had to be a 7th grader at the time. Who knows what this idiot's doing now? And I mean, it's a rite of passage.
It's part of growing up. Now, look,
I don't know how you can control it all in a football game.
Anecdotally, I don't know. Is it that bad at Medina? Is it okay? Graffiti or whatever? What other shenanigans and hijinks?
The word.
What is the vandalism?
Sure, that's not acceptable, and kids get in trouble for that stuff. And I'm sure if you see something, say something, whatever, as long as I get to go to the games, then fine. I'll rat out a fellow student as long as I get to go to the games and have some independence.
Well, I wonder how many teachers, though, that especially Medina teachers that had to work the game, right? Because that's what you're doing there. They've all got to take their share of working the games, are maybe relieved by this, or how many of them actually are upset with this, right? Like,
I wonder how the parents are.
Oh, if I'm
we're in Medina County. We went all the way out to Medina County.
My kids went to Medina City Schools, and they went, hey, Friday night we want to go to the game, but this new rule I have to set with you. I'd go, we're going to stay home. We're not going.
All right. It seems like all the games, you can stream them now anyway.
It's 6:30 in the morning. 216-474-0092. Do we have any teachers? Are there any parents? Anybody? Because I can't believe I'm agreeing with you. I thought I was going to be kind of the fuddy-duddy on this, the hole on this. No, I don't know how you keep them all in line. I don't know how you keep everything like, well, nope, you're sitting there and where's your father? Excuse, like, I don't know. How am I going to tell a 17-year-old where your dad is? Where's your mom? Where's your dad? Where's your grandpa? Where's your legal guardian? Do you have your wristband on? Are you tethered to your parent right now? Like, hey, man, like sometimes I got to go use the can. And at times, if they go out there and we catch you defacing school property or breaking anything that's school property that's paid for by the taxpayer, then it's going to come out of your ass. There's no other way around it. It's been a thing that's gone on for 60, 70 years in high school football in this state. You go, you act like an idiot at a high school football game, you're going to pay the fiddler on Monday.
Exactly.
I can't imagine. Guys, I've been to Medina many times. Maybe they just put on a show for me when I walk in.
And then the minute you leave, it's the cat's away. The mice can play.
Ken's gone, everybody. Yeah. It's a punch palace tonight. Like, no, I never have seen it that way. They've always been very nice.
I mean,
I've used the restroom at Medina High School. The food is good, so I don't understand the issue.
I mean, listening to that administrator, he's making it sound like we're going to have to call in the National Guard.
It's the only thing I would think it is where a lot of this happens, where you get the right people upset about it, and they say the right thing, or in this case, maybe the wrong thing, the threatening thing in a school board meeting, and all of a sudden we got an issue here. That's all it takes. You know that. Like, we could say one bad apple ruins the bunch. It takes one Karen to use the bathroom at the wrong time, and then all of a sudden, 17-year-olds act like idiots. Okay, it's not the movies. They're not precocious. And my son can act like an idiot just like the rest of the other idiots out there. And I will treat my son, if he acts like an idiot, like the idiot he just acted like. And I'll take care of it. I don't... maybe I'm asking too much.
Now, I
gotta
wonder,
agree with you.
A school district, because Medina is a big school district.
It is a large one.
How many kids are going without adult accompaniment to the game? Because, I mean, we have it at our games where kids are up there, without their parents being there.
Well, the first person that got the driver's license, opened up.
That's a different story,
too. That opened up the world at these games.
I understand that not wanting your third and fourth graders roaming around, but 17, we're letting them drive all over town right now, right? Like, they should be able to.
Do we have to have an adult with us, no matter where we go?
Yeah, are they old enough to go work at the grocery store then come to the game afterwards? Do they need mom and dad to help them stock the shelves?
Well, if you're a good city, you're shutting down the grocery stores before kickoff.
If they work at the Dairy Queen,
got to shut it down.
My dad stands behind me while I serve the blizzards. It seems to be a bit excessive, and it's only guys. I don't mean to pick on Medina here, but they're just the latest one. I mean, if it was just about anywhere else, I think it would. Like, yeah, there's some things that become serious, but when it comes to kids and Roman, I got to tell you, Tone, seems to be a bit of a time-honored tradition. It's like, yeah, we'll deal with it. You will deal with it either with the police here on Friday night, or we will deal with it on Monday with your parents. 216-474-0092. Jason Lloyd from The Athletic going to join us at 7:20. And I was told yesterday, I tell it like it is. I'm not sure I always have this summer, and I'm ashamed. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, take us with you to work on the free Odyssey app.
Anthony Lima for Vans.
A water main break has the left lane closed, Route 2 east at West 49th. Traffic's light northbound on 176 from 480 to West 14th. This is Joe Checkeye for 92.3 The Fan.
Listen to 92.3 The Fan on the Odyssey, iHeartRadio, and TuneIn app.
Lloyd 20. Is Kevin Stefanski really safe for 2026 as well? We have a lot of reaction to the story we just played for everybody. Medina, along with a lot of schools, deciding that, hey, you're a high school to K kid in these stands, you better be with the old man or old woman or your legal guardian. If you go to get popcorn, you damn well better have a parent with you. At least that's what the stories seem to say.
Now, I will tell you, even in our town, right, like, they are not, the kids have an area to
Try
be
go
in.
getting a hot dog without a parent in a small town.
Especially like the middle schoolers, 5th through 8th grade, they are inside the gates of the field, right? So they aren't, halftime is the only time they're allowed to go outside of that area.
Okay.
So if you have to go to the bathroom in between, then you got to go get like special permission to get outside of the gates at that point to get over to where the bathrooms are and all that. But those are only inside the track area. That's where the student section is for those guys. And then the high schoolers are just in the stands with the adults. And apparently they can use whatever they need to use or eat whatever they need to eat whenever they want to do it.
Okay. All right.
But I do think you're right. This one seems a little overblown, but a lot of places have, rules that they talk to their student body about.
Because I'll be dead serious with you, man. Like, again, Axel does a lot for me, and I'm just like...
Hey, get your beers.
If I went to it, well, they don't serve beers at the high school football game over in the borough. Well, we'll see.
If you get enough moms together, maybe you guys can go change those
He also
rules.
knows exactly what two knuckles means. In more ways than one.
It's fingers. It's fingers.
He does the 5-knuckle shuffle and 2 fingers of whiskey.
This is the Jack Daniels I said Canadian Club, Axel. Why, I oughta. 216-474-0092. Yeah, but I mean, if we're at like a high school football game or something, and I want popcorn, here you go. Go and get it. Like we went to that Perry basketball game when they took on North Royalton down there. Here's $20. Go. Line's too long. I'm over here. Go. It's fine. It's fine. Betty and Medina, you're first up on the fan. Maybe I'm not. I could be naive. Betty and Medina, hello.
Hi. Good morning. Good morning.
Morning, Betty.
I am a high school teacher, and I have children that have attended Medina City Schools. So I feel like I have and played sports.
Tell me. Tell me. Yes. Yes.
I think it's ridiculous that you want students that are able to drive themselves to a game to sit with their mom. Like, it's just ridiculous. They're high school kids. If they do wrong, then they get in trouble. Like, in general, the kids behave pretty well. It's not like there's a lot of issues going on a regular basis. Punish the kids that do wrong, but I feel like that's just kind of where we are now as a society. We just start making these types of things because we have people that don't know how to act, so instead of punishing them, this is what we choose to do. Also, parents of athletes aren't allowed to go out onto the field at the end of the game. So when you bring grandma for your, last senior game or senior night, whatever, you're not, the part of the rules is you're not permitted to go out onto the field after the game.
So
I know why that is, and it's sad. It's so sad because a few parents have ruined it for everybody. But it's like, can we reincorporate in this society? Can we bring back shame? Like if a parent comes out there and trash talks another kid or another parent and they get into it, shame them. That's how we're supposed to get them back. Make fun of them. That's okay.
Thank you so much.
And honestly, that's not really happening on a regular basis.
No.
So
Betty,
It's ridiculous.
I thank you so much for the call. It's refreshing because I got to tell you,
Bay
when
Village School Board, watch out. Here comes Lima's platform.
That is my new platform.
Betty got to, I think it's ridiculous, sure. I go, oh, God, here it comes. And then she said, and I said, it's the exact same thing I was thinking. You drive yourself to work. You drive yourself to school. You drive yourself home. You can paint your own parking spot. You can have a job. You can pay taxes on that job, on that income now with the state, with the federal taxes and learn all that stuff. But
you can vote.
You damn sure can't go get a 20-ounce Coke over at that football game. You better have mom or dad with you. I can't imagine walking alongside of Axel when he's 15 years old. Like, you can't do it. Donnie in Cleveland. Hello, Donnie.
Good morning, guys. How you doing?
Hey,
Donnie,
love the show.
Tell me. Thank you very much. Go right on ahead.
Go Zips, by the way. But yes, I've been in education my whole life, and in many middle schools, the students have to be walked around in a line. When I was in school a long time ago, the bell rung and everyone went to class. Not so much nowadays. I made my bones in Akron watching Antoine Winfield run up and down the field and defend on Bookton High School, playing football on the side. But we can't do that anymore. So I guess things have changed.
Wait, I thought Winfield played for Garfield, didn't he?
He did.
Okay.
that's right.
Against Bookton. Okay, I dig.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah,
Donnie. Go ahead.
He definitely did.
I did.
No,
Go ahead.
No, but he would, we would run around the field, play football, and I was young, 5, 6, 7 years old. But things aren't like that anymore. My goodness, students can't even go to the library nowadays without a chaperone.
I think part of it, I got to wonder here, and Donnie, you said you're a teacher, right? So it's like,
Yes.
Like say my son asses off, right? I don't know what he did, but say he got in trouble for something, he goofing off in the hallway, whatever. How many times do you have a parent go, well, where were you guys? Where were you guys? Instead of yelling at my own son. Because I'm full on, I will full on admit, I was a moron and an idiot when I was a kid, and I believe that a lot of kids are not precocious like we all want to believe. We all want to believe our kids are the best kids out there. No, my son can act like an idiot, a moron, just like any other kid's parent, or any other parent's kid can act like an idiot and a moron. And if he asked off in school, then he's going to be the one to pay for it.
Well, absolutely. Well, the consequences aren't the same. I always advocate for our children. I don't want to seem like I'm talking down, but I really have a passion for education.
Yeah.
Some students aren't coming from a home. Many students are coming from houses. So the teacher ends up having to raise that child, and in certain circumstances, we have to raise the parents and the family. So what's going on at the game is just a microcosm of a broader aspect, and So I'll get off my soapbox. Love you guys.
Fine.
Go Zips. Go Browns.
Donnie, thank you very much.
And Nebraska is via. So
Did you see the Nebraska people going after Zips Barstool?
No,
Go and look at that during a break.
What are you doing?
It's ridiculous.
Clean it up. So look, I totally understand. There's some people listening and going, well, Anthony, I do live in a school district where we have had problems. We've had to move the games out of the I totally understand. That's not Medina. Okay, that's not Medina. And I know there are people listening going, what happened to Medina? Like, I wish Medina had I wish we had the problems that Medina had, where there's a little bit of graffiti in the stands, or there's some horseplay. Like, I wish our district had those problems. I totally understand.
I'm not going to be stupid. Like, I've been to basketball games where there's metal detectors, and I've been to football games where there's metal detectors, things like that. Like, I've been there. I'm not going to act naive about this. But also, I look at it and go, well, again, it's the same. We did the same thing with smoking and drinking back in the day, talking about it. It's the same thing here. I mean, if they're capable enough to do some things as an adult, they can be held accountable for their actions in a football stadium. Now, I know you don't want to waste the taxpayers' money, and they just build these new stadiums. I mean, there's a lot of stadiums that's been built over the last decade that have been completely done brand new, and you want to protect it because you never know when you're going to be able to build a stadium again. I mean, hell, the field turf itself is millions and millions of dollars. So there is some degree where it's like, hey, I can meet you part way on this. But it's also going, hey, if you have any student body, you're going to have a couple of idiots. It's that simple. Any group of 1,000 people is going to have a few morons in there. But I can't let the few morons ruin the whole damn thing. I mean, we've always talked about the beer situation over at the Browns games. There's going to be some guys who tie one on and end up trying to start a fist fight in the men's room coming up on Sunday afternoon. Doesn't mean to get rid of the beers in the whole stadium.
Would never happen in the 537 section.
No, they're well behaved there. It's coats and it's tails and tuxes in the 537. Colton and Cuyahoga Falls, you're next up on the Fan. Hello.
Good morning, boys. How you doing?
We're doing well, Colton. Go right on ahead.
First off, those two teachers, I agree with them completely. They said nothing wrong. Also, thank you for everything that they do, and thank you for everything that you guys do in the morning, getting us through our day.
Very nice. Thank you.
The point on that, as a recent high school graduate, this rule is absurd. Like, yes, there's kids that act out. Everybody's gotten in trouble in their life. How the heck are we supposed to learn from it if they don't punish us right and give us the right situation for all that? That's all I needed to say. I'll listen off the air. Thanks, guys.
Colton, thank you very much for the call. I found it refreshing that there were parents calling in for it.
Good. That's what we wanted.
There were teachers calling in.
That's what we wanted. Yeah,
I should say. Which I imagine their parents as well. 216-474-0092. All right. Maybe we'll ask Jason about this a little bit coming up at 7:20. He's got kids in school, right?
He's
Jason,
part of the problem. If you're not doing the parenting.
Well, listen, I'll say a lot of nasty things about Jason. I won't say he's a bad dad. Like, I'll say a lot of nasty things about Tone. Tone's a very good father. Owen's a very good father. Owen's a guy I look up to as a father. Bet you never thought you'd hear that here on the radio.
Yeah.
I do.
Work my ass off.
Owen's a role model for us, I swear to God. Coming up at 8:20 this morning, Mary Kay Cabot going to join us on the show. Kevin Cougler, he'll be on the play-by-play call of the game on Fox coming up on Sunday. Should we expect the same old usual sleepy Bengals at the beginning of the season, or is something far faster in order for the Cleveland Browns defense coming up on Sunday? Well, we'll talk about that with Kevin Cougler at 9 o'clock. And I had two people within 5 minutes yesterday in Brook Park go, "Can you tell it like it is?" And as I walked to my truck, I go, "Have I this summer?" Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, a crisis of confidence next on the Fan.
Anthony Lima for Diamonds Direct.
happy about this. Well, what's funny is that they're not too far off from what I wanted them to end up doing too. And even I find myself being like, all right, could they have done this better? Like initially, the entire time I said Flacco into Sanders was my dream scenario. And I think that kind of speaks to what you're getting at. That idea is that there's too many options, and Flacco into Gabriel wasn't a lot of people's choices.
The Afternoon Drive. Weekdays starting at 2. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Yesterday, a couple of people told me I was telling it like it is within 5 minutes, and I question that. I want to get to this Ross Tucker audio first here because it's a big 2025 season. At least we thought so. Here's Ross Tucker on Afternoon Drive yesterday on how many wins it would take to save Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry's job.
I don't think there's any number. I really don't. I mean, I don't think they'd be operating the way they're operating if they were looking at it that way. And they shouldn't. If you're Jimmy Haslam, okay, are you going to sign off on like the Travis Hunter trade and trading down and so many of the moves they made? You're going to sign off on that stuff, but then if they win 3 games instead of 5, you're going to fire them? Or 4 games instead of 6? That seems pretty stupid. I mean, that seems really short-sighted for an organization that does not appear to be operating that short-sighted. I think that they, barring something unforeseen, I think they're back almost no matter what.
I mean, it does feel, I think, to a lot of fans like we're going from one extreme to another. Like you were so quick to fire Rob Chudzinski. You were so quick to fire Mike Pettin after he had an idiot drafted for him as quarterback. And then this is continuing here. And the reason I brought up the telling it like it is thing here, Anthony, and I kind of want to, this is going to be therapy with you because we got Jason coming up at 7:20. You know, Jason's got the bedside manner of a hammer. I stopped in Brook Park yesterday. I went to the liquor store in Brook Park yesterday. I want to say hello to Jim Bob and his son James, who I met Jim Bob yesterday. And they said, and one person said another thing. Then I went to a grocery store and
then another liquor store in the grocery store?
No, there was no liquor store in the grocery store. That's why I did the liquor store first, then I went to the grocery store.
Had an open bar.
There you go. And there was a nice checkout lady named Maria. And I swear to God, they both go, you tell it like it is. And I go, have I this summer? Or have I been telling it like I want it to be? Like, you know how many hours we've spent talking about a quarterback that might not even hit the field this year? Like, we just assume, and I'm like, why have I spent so much time grinding over a quarterback that might not even hit the field this year? And by what we saw, I'm just going by what we saw and trying to read any tea leaves we could back on Saturday, bud. They have no problem drafting another quarterback ahead of him for next year. Why did we spend so much time? Because I don't think I've told it like it is. I think I'm telling it like I want it to be. I don't want this season to be like 2016 or 2017 where there are no consequences. I know guys got fired in 2018, but there are just no consequences whatsoever to anything. That you can do whatever you want, and it doesn't matter about that. When the trust from the fan base, if you want me to tell it like it is, I'll tell it like it is. The trust from the fan base is eroded. The people can't believe, the hardcore Browns fans can't believe going, wait a minute, why doesn't the scoreboard count? All of a sudden, the scoreboard doesn't count? We have people calling, tweeting at us all day yesterday after we played the Cat Hickman audio going, data points. The hell are we talking about with data points here?
Yeah, really.
Why are we looking at what's on the scoreboard there? Why are we on the opposite end of what we should be so many times? No one answers for that?
Well, you
and then I'm going to have to wait another year, so I'm getting ready. Real quick. I got Friday, Saturday, Sunday after today. I got 4 days technically because it's 7 o'clock today. I got 4 days before a game on my first week of the season, Sunday. Football starts tonight on Westwood One on the Fan. And I just got to wait until April? Yeah. You want me to tell it like it is? That's telling it like it is. It's just no fun whatsoever. Like Shedeur Sanders is fun. Talking about the guy who might not even get on the field is fun. 40-year-old quarterbacks that we were talking about maybe 4 or 5 games. What's the fun in that? No offense to Joe, nice guy. What's the fun in that? Talking about quarterbacks that none of us think is going to be a franchise quarterback but could be a very nice backup for a decade in Dylan Gabriel. What's the fun in that? There's no fun.
Well, the only consequences we've seen so far for this regime or anybody, it's been Alex Van Pelt to, Ken Dorsey. That's it. All right, I'm going to give up my play calling duties. Now I'm going to get him back. So that's all you've seen, after all these years and just one playoff win. Obviously, it's been a bit of a roller coaster. There's been good, there's been more bad than good, and then last year you kind of bottomed out, but then everybody kept their jobs. Normally when there's a bottoming out, nobody keeps their jobs.
Exactly.
Normally it's a house cleaning. But for the first time in many years, this is a head coach that's given you reason to think that, hey, if certain things are aligned the right way, that they can win, and that, he does have an offensive mind. I know that it's been a big point of contention. Nick, in the afternoons, Nick Wilson brings up, well, he's only had, one top 10 offense or whatever. How is that an offensive guru? But, you look at the quarterbacks he's had, and I don't think Stefanski is as good as Kyle Shanahan, who has been able to get to the Super Bowl with, average quarterbacks. Or below average quarterbacks. I don't think he's that, but I do think, if the stars align correctly, he has proven that he can conduct an offense not only respectably, but also, above some of his peers. I have seen some of that.
It just
at
feels,
times.
Again, to tell the truth, it just feels more and more like the seasons of formality. And I'm being sent more and more. And again, we're
that's
4
up
games,
to them
4
to
days
prove
away.
otherwise.
And that's why I think Sunday against Cincinnati is so important, man. If you go out there and you get boat raced about like you did against Dallas last year, then I think a lot of people are just going to be checked out by the end of the month. If you go out there and you win on Sunday against Cincinnati, and you can, you got a good I think you're going to have a good defense again. And I think your offensive line, now that they're healthy and you got veterans there that are Pro Bowlers, I think you can try to run the football. I know that we can talk about Quinshon Judkins and the missing link there all we want, but I think you can try to run the football, and as long as you don't turn the ball over, I think you'll be there in the fourth quarter and you'll have your chance to win the football game. And if you win the football game, then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to celebrate on Monday. But but until I get to a point in the season, and I don't know where that is, I'm always going to be wondering when the shoe's going to drop. Because even if they win on Sunday, I'll tell you, by Wednesday next week, in the back of my head, I go, there's a lot of teams that aren't very good that win week 1 because it's sloppy football. What are we going to do in week 2? What are we going to do?
Oh, wait, we've been
what
that
are we going to do against Baltimore, a team that's supposed to win 15 games?
We have always split the first 2 games, dating all the way back to 2017. And it's pretty crazy. As bad as we've been, we don't lose both games. So that's always been able to keep the fans invested.
Yeah.
And I'm looking right now, Kenny, the thousands of tickets available for the opener. That's never happened. Since '99. That has not happened for this team.
Because I'd like to think that a lot of people agree with me on this. And I hate to do it because, again, how many hours have we spent living in a fantasy land? Like, we've had a lot of people going, guys, why are you talking about the 5th-round pick who's the 3rd-team quarterback? Well, it really was the 4th-team quarterback at the time. Because...
Well, that's obvious, though. That's Joe Flacco's your starter.
Because
what does the rest of the league think of Joe Flacco? He didn't have another starting job.
Because we didn't want to accept the reality of the situation. We did not want to accept the reality. The reality of the situation is simply they'll go as far as Joe Flacco has wheels, and then when the wheels come off, then we'll start to figure out whatever else, but we don't have a whole lot of faith in either of them. There's hope, but I don't think there's faith in Shedeur Sanders. So if there's only hope but no faith in Shedeur, then we're putting any faith we have into the guy who is Garrett Nussmeier or Drew Aller or Lenore Sellers. Like, I'm watching Lenore Sellers like a hawk.
Yeah,
I'm watching
Garrett
Nussmeier like a hawk. And we're going to be talking about those guys all year. And so even if they win on Sunday, then I'm going to be wondering against Baltimore. If they lose at Baltimore, which they very well could, and they will be an underdog against Baltimore, all right, what are you doing to bounce back against Green Bay? What are you going to do? I won't be comfortable one way or the other until I either know, and I don't know when that's going to be, that they're good this year, or when I know that they're not good this year. And it seems to be that we'll know that, if we're being realistic, a lot sooner than we would if they were good. And so if I'm being told I tell it like it is, I got to tell it like it is. That if they don't win on Sunday, or they don't at least play well and keep it close, you go out there and you do what you did against Dallas, or God forbid, I know it was Freddie in a different regime, you do what you did against Tennessee, or even, when Kevin's first game against Baltimore, for crying out loud, you do what you did against Baltimore, it's going to start to feel a lot like 2016. It's going to start to feel a lot like that, where, you know what? We exist. This is an existing team. And I'll feel like I've wasted time, and I feel like a lot of fans have, and maybe we've wasted Miles' time and Denzel's and yada, yada, yada. Well, they're not doing it for free, so they get money. They get paychecks, and they get paid a lot of money to do it. I hate that Joe Bitonio's last season would be on a losing football team, but you know what? It's the way she goes. Because, man, I just feel like I've lived this fantasy all summer where, man, maybe there's something I can cling to this year and not have to. I don't want to waste a season. I don't want to cheat myself. I don't want to cheat the listeners going, hey, we got a big game coming up on Sunday. Finally, you wait for football for 8 months and finally we have football. Now you're going to have to wait another almost calendar year to get to April.
Well, were we not buying, or were people not buying when Vegas and basically everybody has told you this is one of the worst 3 teams in football?
I think in the back of our head we did. I didn't want to. There's the truth, and then there's the truth you're willing to accept. And I wasn't willing to accept it.
Like I heard Nick in the afternoon.
There's a part of me that doesn't.
Yeah, I heard Nick in the afternoon say he couldn't in any of the possible outcomes. The one he couldn't see was a blowout loss. And I'm like, nice, just saw it last year. Yeah, they can absolutely get blown out. It's Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. Of course they can blow us out.
And we have audio of that we're going to play later on. By the way, I've been there before, Nick. Don't worry, buddy.
Yeah, and we were supposed to. We came into last year thinking we were going to be way better than we think we are this year, and that team.
Do you understand?
Got absolutely blown out.
I kind of used you as a therapist. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like I think I've been. There's people who've been living in a reality, and I think I've been living in hope.
We've been talking shador
instead of being honest
because we don't think the team's good. That's why you talk about a 5th-round quarterback.
Yesterday, Ken, you brought up you wanted to just win enough for everyone to keep their jobs, right? Was that a living in hope thing? Or was that a not telling it like it is thing? What was that?
I can't say it's even a living in hope because somebody asked me that on social media, and I thought I was very clear on myself during the show yesterday, but it's a long show, so maybe they missed it. The reason I'm that way is because only 2 times in 25 years have they fired somebody and actually got better. And one of them is with Kevin. That's not a good track record. That's not a good track record whatsoever, considering the other guys that you're coaching against have been in there most of those 25 years. That's terrible. And so, yeah, I'm afraid that, God, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. I think Kevin's a good offensive guy. I actually do think Kevin's good with quarterbacks. I know there's going to be a lot of people who disagree with that one, but I do think that Kevin can be good with quarterbacks. So I'm going to start maybe with a worse person with my franchise guy who's getting ready to play his week 2 college football game on Saturday. That's a scary proposition in its own right. I'm not trying to be scared. I'm just trying to be honest. And I think this entire summer, I have sat here and talked about this team on what I want them to be as opposed to what they really are. And I still don't know their identity, and I won't find out until Sunday. But what I think a lot of people think they really are is a franchise waiting for April of 2026. Jason Lloyd, The Athletic, he joins us at 7:20. Does he agree with that? Ken Carmen, Anthony Lima, take us with you to work on the free Odyssey app.
It's Anthony Lima for QC Kinetics, where you can say goodbye to knee, hip, and back pain once and for all. I wish I would have gone sooner because I got my left shoulder taken care of, and I got real treatment with real solutions, and you can get
tonight in Philadelphia. The Eagles looking for that first win in defense of their Super Bowl title. Dallas, meanwhile, plays its first game since trading Micah Parsons last week. Headline sports news every 20 minutes on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Anthony Allant.
Browns-Bengals coming up on Sunday afternoon. Sunday. Jason Lloyd joining us right now on the Fan Hotline. Hello, Jason.
Good morning.
How you feeling?
I'm feeling great. It's a football weekend.
How do you feel about the Browns' chances of winning on Sunday?
Actually, pretty decent. It wouldn't shock me if they won. I don't know that they're going to win very many after that, but no, I kind of get. I mean, Cincinnati's had sort of a disjointed offseason. They've had a lot going on, and yeah. I mean, we know the history that the Browns have had a fair amount of success against Burrow and the Bengals for whatever reason. Denzel Ward always seems to match up well with Jamar Chase, and yeah, I wouldn't be shocked at all if they won that game. I just don't know how many more they're going to get after that.
See that, but I don't like that because on Monday I'm gonna go. I almost cussed. I'm gonna go 8. I'm gonna go nuts, and then I don't want to have to think about what's coming against Baltimore the next Sunday. So can you just let me enjoy if they win on Sunday? You're not gonna start sending me nasty texts on Monday, are you?
Oh no, of course not. Yes, enjoy it.
Because you're a bad guy. You're a bad guy, and I don't want you bothering me about that stuff.
I'm a bad guy. All right. Well, sorry about that.
Yeah, that's true. Go ahead, Tom.
Well, there's no doubt that the one element of you've had success against Joe Burrow. I mean, a few years ago, I know he was hobbling, and I know the weather wasn't great, and he looked terrible. But a lot of that had to do with Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett was a game wrecker. I do wonder if they're playing anybody else, if fans would even be nearly as optimistic, because Vegas is not optimistic. You are the second largest home dogs this week next to the Saints. So is this just something that, because we're in Cleveland, we've seen the success against the Bengals, that we feel like we have a chance to slow Burrow down?
Yeah, probably. It's probably a lot of it. Maybe we can get more rain. I haven't seen the forecast. I don't know. Have you guys looked what it's supposed to be like on Sunday?
I thought it was supposed to be nice.
It's going to be great.
Nice.
It's going to be
the last
cooler.
rain we're going to have for a little bit.
It's going to be cooler but sunny.
Yeah.
What am I, Dick Goddard? Why don't you check your own weather?
I'm just saying. I didn't look yet. Yeah, I mean, I think the rain certainly helped the last time they were here, and the Browns were able to eke out that win. And yeah, I think we probably are living off past history a little bit too much on that, because anybody from the outside looking in would take Cincinnati to win this game. And Vegas has made very clear how they feel about the Browns this year. Are they wildly inaccurate on that? They have been in the past on teams, sure. I don't know that I would. I think they have this one nailed pretty close to how it's going to go.
Jason Lloyd with us right now. Give me an advantage. You think the Browns, look, the obvious is defensive line, but, we had a great defensive line last year, and Dallas obliterated us in the opener. So what is it about this week that's making you, Jason Lloyd, of all people, think, yeah, they could actually do this?
The fact that the defensive line, I think, is a lot of it. And I could see Joe coming out and having a big game, his first game out. Everybody's healthy, everybody's fresh, everybody feels pretty good. That would not shock me at all. The run game, a little concerned about, obviously. I don't know how you could not be, just because we just haven't seen it with these guys. Not real thrilled with, never been very high on Jerome Ford. Curious to see Dylan Sampson, though. So, yeah, listen, if you can create a turnover to start on a short field, anything's possible. If the weather is cooperative, that helps with the kicking game in that stadium. So, I mean, listen, don't think the Browns are going to come in here and blow them out by any means. But I do think it's funny. I was talking to somebody who has seen them this preseason, who has seen the Browns a few times over the years, who felt like this is the most disciplined and best coach they've been through training camp in the preseason. For whatever that's worth.
Put up the banner right now. Let's raise it.
But like last year, last year was a disaster on every front imaginable. And you mentioned the Dallas game, and I was talking to guys halfway toward the end of the season who said, "Oh, we knew we were not ready for Dallas. We that went about how we thought it was going to go." Now, no one's going to admit that in the moment, but well after the fact, they knew they were not prepared and they were not ready. They knew the offense was a bit of a disaster. They knew Deshaun didn't look great. So I don't think anyone was really surprised by how that went. I don't get the sense that, at least from the way training camp was run, at least from how things have gone to this point, people outside the team that I talked to looked at it and thought this was the best coach. This was the most disciplined and the best coach that they've looked in a number of years.
Jason, Ross Tucker was on Afternoon Drive yesterday, and he said, frankly, that everybody's safe for this year and next year. Do you believe that they're safe for 2026 as well, no matter what this year?
Well, I don't want to speak for Ross, but I'm guessing he's going on the fact that they're going to be not very good this year. They're going to take a quarterback, and now you have next year to see what that looks like. I don't know that he's necessarily wrong, but at the same time, I don't know. In the past, we've talked about this before. In the past, I think Jimmy has made very emotional, reactionary decisions. I think he's trying to get away from being that person. But I talked to someone who worked in that building who got a glowing review and was fired 2 weeks later. So it's hard to have a lot of confidence in that. If you're going to fire these guys, you should have fired them last year. Like that was the window. If you wanted to clean house, if you wanted to blow them all out, then do it after last season. I don't know. At the time I was saying I wouldn't fire them, but I totally understand the reasoning to fire them. Like, yeah, it was bad. It was really, really bad. And if you want to just say, look at the product on the field, it's not nearly good enough. We haven't drafted well enough. And this was not a great coaching year by Kevin's standards. We got to go and start over. Once you brought them back after last year's debacle, how could you fire them now? You're not going to be very good. You're not supposed to be very good. You start a 40-year-old quarterback and you got 2 rookies as backups. How can you possibly win at a high level in the NFL under those circumstances? So it doesn't make any sense to me to fire them now. If you're going to do it, you should have done it last year.
So what do you think your threshold is for wins to make sure everybody's safe say everybody is safe going into next year?
Well, that's a tricky one because do you really want to win a lot of games? Honestly, for the betterment of the franchise, I know people are going to drive off the road and scream and yell and say, of course you want to win games. That's why you're out there competing. Okay, but teams have to go through rebuilds all the time. The Cavs just went through a multi-year rebuild.
That's basketball. I don't want to hear that. How many rebuilds? I mean, good God, how many rebuilds have the Green Bay Packers been through? How many rebuilds? The Steelers aren't that great, but how many rebuilds have they been through? And they're always a competitive franchise. How many rebuilds have the Jacksonville Jaguars been through? They've been through a ton, and they suck. So
yes, and you're pointing out the difference in healthy, high-functioning franchises and not. And this is a not. When have they ever been a healthy, high-functioning
So we should
franchise?
just be a more dysfunctional franchise then? Just lose?
Well, there's 2 ways to go about it. And the Steelers don't have a quarterback either, and they don't seem concerned by it because they always go to the playoffs every year, and they'll eventually figure it out. What has this team ever showed you to make you think that they're a team that can that they can figure it out on the fly?
What has this team ever shown us that losing is going to create a decent culture here? Just perpetuates more of the same.
Yeah, I agree. But also let's not act like they do this because I keep hearing that. They're constantly rebuilding. No, they tried winning for 7 years, and it turns out they weren't very good at it. But from 2018 to 2024, it was all gas around here. Fair? Agree? Is that fair?
Yeah.
For 7 years, they went for it. And I don't want to keep going back to the Deshaun trade, but that wrecked everything. So now you have to deal with the fallout of that, the consequence of that. And for 7 years, you got 1 playoff win, and you totaled 53 wins, and you still had a losing record. And that was your era of contention. That was your contention window with this nucleus, with the Miles and Nick Chubb and Joel and all those guys. That was your contention window. 7 years. You got 1 playoff win, and you still had a losing record. And now that's gone. And now you have to start over because this is how it's built. You're still paying the pain of the Deshaun contract and the fallout of that. So I don't know what the alternative is here. Yeah, okay, if you go out and you win 8 or 9 games this year, it'll be a fun year. I think it'll surprise a lot of people. And so from that, I mean, it's pitiful if that's the bar, but if you win 8 or 9 games and people have fun, okay, that's great. Well, now a team that hasn't been able to find a quarterback in 25 years, it just got infinitely harder because now they're probably not in position to go get one. And maybe if they bundle 2 first-round picks and something else, they can move up. They're still not going to get their top choice, but maybe they can move in position to get one of their guys that they really like. So it's just it sucks that this is where they are, but I just don't see the alternative.
All right, are Kevin and Andrew then a package deal at the end of the year?
See, this is just like no one's told. This is just me guessing and me speculating because that comes up a lot, and you get that all the time. And I think there's a part of this ownership group that is nervous to make a change at one of those spots because they finally have a coach and a GM that don't want to strangle each other. And they see it the same way. They pull on the rope in the same direction. There's no power struggle or battle here, and that's all that's ever been. And I think there's probably a fear of making it worse if they make a change at one of those spots. Are they tied together? No, I don't think they are. But the reality is, if you fire in one and not the other, whoever you bring in isn't necessarily going to love the other is still here. If you fire the GM, he's going to want his own coach. If you fire the coach, I don't know. I guess in this instance, I think Kevin has more standing than Barry. Am I wrong on that? Do you agree or disagree?
I would say that's true. And also, yeah, I mean, there is a valid point you make there. I mean, whoever comes in would have a clean slate. Whoever stays will have some stink on them.
Yeah, so that's not great either. So I don't think that they're a package deal because they didn't come as a package. Kevin was here first. And all these years later, does that matter? Maybe not as much. There was a time where I thought that was significant, that they chose the head coach first and then sort of backfilled the GM job later. And I think Kevin has had a little bit more success, quote unquote, than Andrew has had. I love this draft. And I'm really hoping that this draft is a springboard to better things ahead. And I do think, I know fans don't necessarily want to hear this or they don't care about this. They have 2 really good dudes in those spots, and they are high character guys. And you don't find that very often in professional sports. There's a lot of scumbags running around in those jobs. And they've got 2 really, really, really high character guys, and that has to count for something. Now, you got to produce at some point. That's fair. I totally get it. But I do think that that's why there's some caution and some hesitation to move off of them. And also we have Jimmy coming out and putting his hand up and saying the Deshaun thing was on me. We've litigated that 1,000 times over. But I do think that is important in this discussion because if it was all the GM at the end saying, keep going, we have to do this, this is our only way out, that is grounds for firing. But I think Jimmy's sort of putting his hands up and saying, guys, this is a mess. I'm as culpable as anyone in this, so we're going to get through it together. I believe in you guys. He has craved stability. I know the reputation, but they also extended Hugh. They gave Hugh a 1-year extension. And so it's not like he's flippantly trying to fire everybody that comes through the building. He's not. He's craving for some sort of stability and semblance, and he's going to give these guys every opportunity to try and dig out of this.
All right, Jason, quickly, Quinshon Judkins, is this a matter of the Browns just trying to save money, or is it that they know something that maybe we don't know at this point? Why has this been such a stalemate, especially compared to the Mike Hall situation a year ago, which actually had a gun involved?
Yeah, I have no idea. I've thought for 2 or 3 weeks. I've been saying sooner than later, and it still doesn't get done. I don't know why. I'm not going to make up a reason. I have no idea. It's very strange. If it's and I don't know this, but how do you not give him a fully guaranteed deal if you bring in Isaiah Bond and give him a fully guaranteed deal when he just went through the same thing and he was undrafted? You gave an undrafted guy a fully guaranteed deal. If I'm Quinshon, I'm like, well, now I won't. If that was the hang up earlier on, well, now you really don't have any reason not to give it to him. So, and I don't know if that's it or not. I thought this was close. I've thought this was close for a couple of weeks. I thought it was an any day now type thing, and it still hasn't come to be. So that's one of those things where later on, maybe more truth will come out of what's going on and what the hang up is. It's very odd. It's very strange, and it's very Browns.
What's the leash on Joe Flacco?
I would like to see shorter than longer, because I don't know what the benefit is. I've said we were talking about that after the draft. What's the benefit in playing a 40-year-old quarterback? What are you getting out of that? And that's why I really thought Kenny Pickett was going to win the starting job. And had he not gotten hurt, I still think he would have won the job, because I just don't see the upshot in playing a 40-year-old quarterback. As soon as they feel, and yeah, they've got murderer's row here at the start of the season. So if they can get through a couple of these games, turn it over to the kids. Let's see them, because you got a decision to make. And I think we're all in agreement that they are looking quarterback at the top of next year's draft. I fully expect them to take another quarterback. The proof of that played out last weekend when they were on college sidelines all over the country. And so it's on Dylan and Shedeur to change their mind, and for one of them to show them that you don't have to go get a guy. The guy's right here in the building. But in order to do that, they both have to get on the field for more than a game or two.
Jason, we thank you very much for the time. God bless you and yours, and we'll talk to you again soon.
All right, boys. See ya.
Jason Lloyd from The Athletic on the Fan Hotline.
Let the record show, we said once the season started and Shedeur Sanders was backup to the backup, we would not mention Shedeur Sanders. We did not mention him in that interview.
Hey, there you go.
We've had a breakthrough.
Mary Kay, 8:20 this morning. I want to ask her about the Quinshon Judkins thing, because it's getting kind of weird. Well, it's been weird for a while. And if your favorite team doesn't win, you want heads to roll. Well, too bad. Also, there's another thing Jason said in there that I absolutely hate. Love Jason, hate what he said. I'll tell you what it is coming up in 5 on the Fan. Window Nation and windownation.com. I'm going to
This is brought to you by Duke's Mayonnaise.
This is the Duke's country song. It's a song about the best mayo. It has a yellow lid, and its full name is Duke's Mayonnaise. Get Duke's Mayo in store. It's got twang.
Whenever you need to talk about the Browns, we got you covered. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
If you're going to fire these guys, you should have fired them last year. That was the window. If you wanted to clean house, if you wanted to blow them all out. Once you brought them back after his last year's debacle, how could you fire him now? You know you're not going to be very good. You're not supposed to be very good. You start a 40-year-old quarterback and you got 2 rookies as backups. How can you possibly win at a high level in the NFL under those circumstances? So it doesn't make any sense to me to fire him now. If you're going to do it, you should have done it last year.
Jason Lloyd, or as I call him, Lace and Joyd, on the Fan Hotline from The Athletic, talking about the futures of Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry. Whether or not they're a package deal, because I can make an argument for one side or the other. I can make an argument for both. I don't know if I, after this season, if I could sit there and just make arguments to keep jobs, but the season has to roll out. And I do have some people getting like, guys, come on, we got a game on Sunday. Let's be positive. I got Jason advocating. Well, like, what, do you really want to win 8-9 games? And by the way, football coach is texting me right now saying losing should never be an objective in the game of football, ever. We've had this argument a million times over. Try to go out. I mean, good God, we're getting ready to start the season. Go out and try to win on Sunday for crying out loud.
That's totally different. That's totally independent from the fans. I mean, a lot of fans are like...
Do the fans want him to win?
Well, they're adding up. They're saying Joe Flacco's your starting quarterback. There was one publication had him 31st out of the 32 starting quarterbacks entering the season. And when you start a quarterback that is in the 30s... When you begin a year, it's probably a transition season, and you're getting ready with 2 first-round picks to draft a quarterback. So most fans will be like, fine, if you win, wake me up when you win games. But until then, the thought process is that you're a team in transition, and you're a team that is gearing up for the quarterback class that we watched all last weekend.
So there's your difference, telling it like it is or telling it like we want it. What do the fans want to do? Do they want to win? Do they want to win as many games as possible? I want to know. 216-474-0092.
I think they want to win. They want to win if it's possible. But
okay.
But right now, on paper, one of the worst running back rooms in the league, one of the worst wide receiving groups in the league, and a quarterback that's 40 years old, that is not a formula for winning games.
And fans could sit there and line up all they want and say, I don't want to win games. We want the best quarterback. I don't think that this is okay. But when you have Ross Tucker saying that your guys are going to be safe no matter what, well, that puts a new look on things.
How many bad years are you willing to stomach? How much of the blame for that do you put on the head coach? I would suggest to you that Stefanski's done enough that, you know, certainly he has, in my mind, all of this year and then whatever he would get the next. I mean, last year was really, in my mind, I don't know, seems like his first really bad year. And there's a myriad of reasons for that. But, I mean, he had a couple 11-win seasons. Even the other years when they're going 8-9, 7-10, and Baker's got COVID or whatever, they're still competitive. I thought last year was the first really, really down year.
So I got Russ Tucker telling everybody that they're going to keep their jobs no matter what. You might as well go out there and win some games. You got 2 first-round picks.
But
I might as well go ahead.
I'm still rejecting the premise there. I think, yes.
I just reject what he says. I reject you.
I think on paper.
I don't like what you say. I reject it.
I think on paper, almost every team gets optimistic. Their players are optimistic. Joe Bitonio's optimistic about this season. And then that gets beat down in the first month or 2 months of the year. And then we all know where this is heading, where it's play younger guys, get ready, trade some of the guys like Wyatt Teller, get traded at midseason. Hold on. And so I think the notion, it sounds all warm and fuzzy at the beginning of every year, like, the organization will be kept. We'll have stability. Yeah, the coach, he's done enough. He's had 2 Coach of the Years, and you and I both like him, but he'll be back next year. And then reality hits when the stadium's empty. But
are you speaking from the fans' perspective?
Might be even empty in the opener, apparently, because there's thousands of tickets available. But then by the second,
that many tickets available.
I do. I'll show them to you. But by the second half of the year, that it turns into takeovers from the other fan bases, as we've seen before. And then Jimmy Haslam at the end of the year. Do we play Pittsburgh the last game of the year? We know how that story normally ends?
We play the Bengals.
Okay, it's the Bengals this time. Maybe that'll be a little bit different.
Steelers the week before, though.
Could be that
home.
week. But where Jimmy Haslam is forlorn, he really does like this organization. He really does like all the people involved, but he gets out in front of the cameras and he says, "We had no choice. We had to make a move. We just
why?
We're because the arrow is pointing down."
Is it?
Yes.
Or is this what you wanted?
Do you think the arrow's pointing up?
Is this just
I thought
what
you were
you wanted?
Tell it like it is.
I am telling it like it is. Isn't this just what everybody wanted?
Where does Ken Carmen think the arrow's pointing?
I don't want him to win too many games. Okay, and this is what you guys all wanted? Wait, we're not winning games, and we're not going to go to the game.
Look, fans,
so they're supposed to react to
year,
people not being in the stands of the stadium they're not even going to play in 4 years?
Look, the delusional fans, they're there every year. It's what every fan base in
I'm not being delusional.
I'm
being as honest as I possibly can be.
I'm talking about
realistic.
I'm talking about the fans that'll call up and say, "Yeah, I want them to win. I'm not a loser. We're not a loser town." But the reality is,
one guy called us a loser town and a loser fan base and a loser show.
It takes about a month for them to come to grips with, yeah, but I am watching the quarterbacks in the draft. I am watching them, and I'm paying more attention.
Okay, but
and
you're
I'm
still going to root for the team
on
to
the
win
weekends.
at 12:50 on Sunday. You're
this
going to be
Sunday,
wanting,
yes,
and
this
every
Sunday.
Sunday.
No, that is not true. That is not true.
He won't.
I've rooted against the Browns plenty of times. My buddies have rooted against the Browns plenty of times.
I won't.
When it comes to wanting the best quarterback in next year's draft, that's how we all know this is going to end. They've got 2 picks. You're gonna want the best crack at it that you possibly can be, and winning games at the end of the year.
You're going to cheer against them in games?
I said at the beginning of the year, no, but but if they're 0-4, then yeah, what am I going to root for them to win games and be 8-8 at that point?
Apathetic and not paying attention is a lot different than actively cheering against them.
How many games do you think they're going to win?
I said 4 or 5.
Can you tell me with certainty? I know you played that whole scenario out, that fantasy for you.
But it's not fantasy. It's a scenario that's played out with this team many times, probably many more than most.
It's a horror movie.
We've seen it before.
We've seen it. It's the Final Destination 18. Can you tell me with certainty then, you said 4 or 5, let's go 5. Yeah. Can you tell me with certainty then that these guys will get let go?
Yeah, I think so.
You do?
I think they'll both get bounced.
Yeah, I know.
I think it's going to look, if that is the case and that scenario plays out, it's going to be as ugly as it's ever been.
So then you should be telling the fans that you want them to lay down then.
Well, I don't think I have to. I think they will. I think this is the formula for a team that eventually will, because I do think the defense is really good, but as we know in this league, that defense will hold up as long as it can until the levee breaks, and then it'll be a free fall. Especially with guys like Myles Garrett, who's already said he wants to be anywhere but here. But, he showed me the most money. How'd that work with Deshaun Watson? I think those are the types of guys.
He said he liked it here. He just didn't want to play for the Browns. Deshaun Watson just doesn't want to be here, too.
But I think
there's a difference.
I think today, Myles Garrett wants to be here. We also saw where he wanted to be at the end of last year when he decided to humiliate the organization in front of everybody that follows the NFL.
I don't think he was talking about the fan base, though.
We don't think that's going to happen again?
I think there's a difference. I don't think he was talking about the fan base.
The problem is they gave him a contract that they can't get out of this time.
And neither can he. So, you might as well. 216-474-0092.
I'm sure Myles won't all of a sudden be temperamental. This will be the first time that he'll be all in.
Do you want to know it?
Well, if I know one thing about Myles, he'll take it slow. He'll look around.
All right, that's it.
That's a cheap shot.
Come on. Wasn't Everson Griffin the other day?
I did see that. I did see that.
Good God.
Hey, 1:30, you got to touch it. Get Jeff Shadell down there to ask those questions.
Oh, my gosh. Mary Kay coming up at 8:20. Oh, fine. Do you want him to win? Because, you guys, this whole losing thing, don't you? You guys sit there and tell me you get sick and tired of it, and then we want them to lose. It's amazing. How many times have they lost? They've lost plenty of games for you. And how many times have they screwed it up? It's amazing to me. 216-474-0092. That, Nick, if you're listening, I've been there, and I know what you're going through. Ken Carmen, Anthony Lima on The Fan.
Anthony Lima for Diamonds Direct, where everything seems to sparkle when you walk through the doors at the corner of Richmond and Cedar Road, because when you make your way into Diamonds Direct, you're going to notice, man, they do have an inventory that you can't believe. We're talking 3 to 5 to 7 times that of other retailers. They treat you like a VIP. They have your favorite drink ready to go. They give you all the perks once you buy something there. And, of course, and if you've been listening to me the last few weeks, if you go in there and you make a significant investment like buying an engagement ring, and I know I made that same investment with Diamonds Direct, and I'm so thrilled I did, you will get a free wedding band. They'll throw it in absolutely free. Just another reason to make you smile when you are working with the professionals at Diamonds.
Kicks off at 8:20 tonight, and you can listen to it right here on Westwood One and 92.3 The Fan. Headline sports news every 20 minutes on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Anthony Allant.
The afternoon drive.
What is the point of this year to you? Moving on from Deshaun, separating who's going to be here long-term or not, and figuring out if you have a long-term quarterback play on the roster. I don't think wins and losses is the end-all be-all unless you're a 3-win team or you're an 11-win team. If you're somewhere in the middle, then it's, were the young guys healthy and did they play well? Did the young quarterbacks play at all? And if they did, how did they look? Did Stefanski keep the locker room when tough time hits? Because you're not an 11-win team. At some point, tough times are going to hit.
I'm going to have a hard time with a lot of this because there is a part of me that I just need to see Stefanski get in the win column. And that might just be that it's hard to do with this team.
The afternoon drive. Weekdays starting at 2. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
I think there's a part of this ownership group that is nervous to make a change at one of those spots because they finally have a coach and a GM that don't want to strangle each other. I think there's probably a fear of making it worse if they make a change at one of those spots. Are they tied together? No, I don't think they are. I think Kevin has had a little bit more success, quote unquote, than Andrew has had. I love this draft. I'm really hoping that this draft is a springboard to better things ahead.
Okay, tell me you hope they lose. Because I'm not convinced that they would just fight. I'm getting there are people texting us right now, mutual friends. Ken, you can't defend this. It's not a defense. I'm not defending it. There's nothing I can defend right now. How can I defend? Guys, Ken's not told it like it is. I'll tell it like it is. You let Ken Dorsey run your offense. You brought in a offensive line coach who you quietly fired halfway through the year, who looked woefully ill-prepared for the job to the point that Mike Vrabel basically became your offensive line coach. Okay? You had whoever's call it was, you let Alex Van Pelt be let go some way, somehow. Okay? You've not been able to, and this is still, I don't care, it's still your job. You were not able to find a rapport with the quarterback that you gave $235 million guaranteed to. It's still your job. Still have all those things that are on there, and I'm sure I'm forgetting a few things. And then when I go to the other guy, you signed the guy for $235 million. You gave away 3 first-round picks for him. You've drafted 2 guys that in the second round that aren't even available to you. One guy we still haven't even signed yet, so I got to ask Mary Kay and Jason Lloyd and Russ Schneider and anybody who will ever come on about whether or not that guy's ever going to be able to be here. Maybe even Kevin Cougler, for all we know, coming up at 9 o'clock. There's no I'm not making arguments for either one of these guys. But if you're sitting here and I got people from, again, we got outsiders, they'll keep their jobs, they'll keep their jobs, they'll keep their jobs. Where are we convinced that, if they lose enough games, they're going to keep their jobs? So you might as well hope that something goes right, because it seems that they're going to be holding on to it. And if they're going to be holding on to it, I can't imagine, with the little faith you guys have now, I can't imagine how little faith you're going to have even going into next April when they go to draft the quarterback next year.
Devil's advocate, if you don't...
Devil of the advocate it up.
If you don't like the coach or the GM, why would you want them to win enough games to stay?
Because they're going to stay. It seems they're going to stay anyway.
I don't agree. I don't think they will. I think it'll be, as I said, I think it'll be really hard for them to keep their jobs if they follow up a 4-13 season with 5-12 or worse.
They didn't do what the fans wanted this last winter. What's to say they're going to do what they do this winter? And again, if they go firing anybody,
then you'll have 10,000 tickets available at next year's season opener.
If they go firing, well, no, because you're going to have Garrett Nussmeier, Lenore Sellers, or somebody, and people are going to want to go see them kids. You know that. I mean, Joe Flacco's a nice memory, and he's 40 years old.
Will he even be playing in week 1? Or will they sign another 40-year-old quarterback to play to keep the rookies at bay?
What's Brian doing?
Which is what they did this year.
216-474-0092. Do you even want to win? Q in Cleveland, hello.
Hey, how y'all doing?
We're doing wonderful, Q. Go right on ahead.
I was just telling the other guy when I got on is that basically it's probably going to be one of them takes where, it's going to shut down everything, but you can do both. Like, you can just let it happen organically and just, because quarterbacks like Bo Nix, there's a lot of quarterbacks that's in this draft, right? And why not just win as many games as possible and then just let it happen organically? The quarterback drop to us, like the one that's supposed to be for us. We don't have to wait. We don't have to lose and get like number 1 or number 2, because basically he's going to be known as a first-round quarterback no matter what. We're going to get a first-round QB, and he's going to be respected as that. He's going to be touted as that, and he's going to have to live up to that. So,
well, there is like a 50-50 bust rate in the first round right now for quarterbacks. So I don't know that all first-round quarterbacks are created equally.
Jordan Love was great. Jordan Love pretty good. Then you got Lamar Jackson.
Then there's Will Levis.
He went 30, 31.
Yes. Well, I mean, but you also better you better hope that these rookies then play well to give people any faith in Andrew Berry to pick a quarterback going into next year. You better hope Carson Schlesinger is a defensive rookie of the year candidate, and that Mason Graham is great. You better hope.
Then we set up. You feel me? Then we set up because all we don't need then is another playmaker maybe or something like that. Get our first round QB, and hey, even if you really think about it, never know. Shador still might be good, or Dylan.
Well, that's still going to be the point of getting the 2 first-round picks. And thank you very much for the call, Q, because the odds are somewhere in the top 3 to 5, there's going to be a team that ain't in the market for a quarterback that you can buy their pick from. And that's where the second first-round pick comes from. So, yeah, I mean, you can do a lot of things at once, and that's why it's so frustrating with this team, because I don't know what their identity is. The other teams in the AFC North, whether I agree with them or not, they have identities. Do they go the way Joe Burrow goes? Joe Burrow is the entire organization down there. Joe Burrow got a not so great organization. I know they lost right before he got there, but they weren't the worst of the worst of the worst for so many years before he got there. But they were not good, and he has become that organization's heart and soul and culture. Some guys are able to do it. We have not been able to find that guy. We have forced it too soon on one player in particular. They will go the way Aaron Rodgers goes in Pittsburgh. They've decided to throw all their eggs in that basket, and when it comes to the Ravens, they're going to be a complete football team led by a 2-time MVP, where they have culture falling out of their pockets.
But the caller's right in one regard. Like, yeah, I disagree because I will have somebody be a second-round pick, but, Michael Penix, right, or Kenny Pickett, those are first-round picks, too. They're not all created equally.
You said Will Levis?
He was a second-round pick. But I do agree with the caller, like, let it organically happen. Yeah, I mean, me rooting for or against them is not going to change that organically. They're picked to finish, one of the worst teams in the NFL. They might just organically lose a whole bunch of games this year.
I just think it's really silly for anybody to root against the Browns. You don't have to go out of your
way to lose. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, but I just think it's really silly for anybody to hope the Browns lose so they lose their head coach and lose their general manager when I don't think anybody's convinced that they're going to lose their head coach or lose their general manager, because there's plenty of people around the league willing to line up and say that it wasn't their fault.
Yeah, but then it'll be 6 years and, one playoff win and 4 losing seasons.
Just one more year with one playoff win and 3 losing seasons or 4 losing seasons. How many
coaches and GMs in the NFL? I don't care what the owners say.
Not many. How many coaches?
Owners always say. They always give votes of confidence. What did Jason Lloyd say? He got a dreaded vote of confidence for one of the coaches, and then 2 weeks later they got fired.
I understand.
Why are we assuming that couldn't happen here?
You asked me how many coaches and general managers, and I say how many teams have won a division since 1989. We are different from everybody else. Get to that.
Oh, have we been? We've kept this regime for this will be 6 years. We just said that's a top 10.
And they could finish with 4 wins, and you could have them for 7.
And I don't think so. I think they are gone. 4 wins. I think they are both gone.
Vince in Cleveland, you're next up on the Fan.
Yeah, how you guys doing this morning? I really don't understand the draft picks this year with 2 quarterbacks. So you're going to tell me that in 2 years you're going to take 3 of your picks on quarterbacks. Just doesn't make any sense to me at all. Either Dylan Gabriel or Shador Sanders, it doesn't matter. I'm rooting for them both. Put them in, let them play. Let us see what we got. We can draft next year with all these first-round picks we have for linemen and wide receivers. Our offensive line's getting old. Our wide receiver room is pretty weak. I don't understand how you can burn 3 picks.
You're going to hate my answer.
Find a quarterback.
Hey, Vince, you're going to hate.
And the other thing, the one other thing that I like to say is, you guys a month ago had some expert on. I don't understand how Stefanski gets a pass. These products that come out of the NFL, that come out of college going into the NFL, are pretty high-quality players in the first 3 rounds. I just can't get how he keeps getting a pass. Makes no sense to me.
Well, about that, again, I think everybody outside of Cleveland just loves him. And I think that is what makes Jimmy Haslam and everybody fear moving on from him. And myself included, I have to admit that. But you're going to hate this answer, Vince, and it's not my answer. It's their answer, so don't go after the messenger here. I got to let you go, but turn your radio up. Thank you very much for the call. I want you to hear this, is that they will look at it, and if you draft, this is their reasoning. If you draft a cornerback in the 3rd round and that guy's a bust, you're really not going to get much from him. You're not going to be able to trade from him. Your thought is if you draft a quarterback in the 3rd round and he goes out and he plays and he looks like a capable backup, you're going to get a pick back for him. Like it's more possible you have to cut a guy in another position. It's more likely you can trade a guy who's a backup that you can get another pick from. That's where they come off with the conversation that quarterbacks are currency. It's like you were at, like there was, again, you traded a 5th rounder and Dorian Thompson-Robinson for Kenny Pickett. You traded away Kenny Pickett. I thought I'd rather have the reps to the kids. There were plenty of people lining up going, no, Ken, it's a win. It's a net win because they get the 5th rounder and it's a higher 5th rounder. Well, that's a lot to go through just to get another 5th rounder, but fine. And it'll be the same thing with Dylan Gabriel. Like, I don't know if you're going to have to just flat out cut Dylan Gabriel or cut Shedeur Sanders. Like, you might be able to get 7ths and 5ths for those guys. Now, that's a big net loss if you get a 5th out of Dylan Gabriel when you gave up a 3rd for Dylan Gabriel with the pick. But that's the way they'll look at it.
I don't
he either
think,
hits or he becomes another pick.
I don't think them taking 2 quarterbacks in the 3rd and 5th round have any bearing whatsoever on them drafting a quarterback next year in the 1st.
No, it doesn't. That doesn't either. Coming up at 9 o'clock, Kevin Cougler going to join us on the show. Fox Sports play-by-play. He's on the call for the Browns and Bengals coming up on Sunday. Up next, are we going to find out anything about Quinshon Judkins today or tomorrow? Do you think Mary Kay can tell us if we're going to find out anything about Quinshon Judkins today or tomorrow? All right, she's coming up in 5 on The Fan.
Anthony Limo for Van Scoy here. If you're
for that first win in defense of their Super Bowl trophy last February. Dallas, meanwhile, plays its first game since trading Micah Parsons last week. Headline sports news every 20 minutes on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Anthony Allant.
It's today we find out about Quinshon Judkins.
That'd be nice.
Let's find out with Mary Kay Cabot. She joins us right now, the Cleveland on the fan hotline on the Cleveland from Cleveland.com, the Cleveland Plain Dealer. Hello, Mary Kay.
Hey guys, how you doing?
We gonna find out about Quinshon Judkins today.
I don't know if it's today, tomorrow, next week, but I did sort of get the sense that there was some hope that there would be movement sometime this week with the season starting. I don't know what the holdup is. I think there are a lot of moving parts at play here. When you talk about the team, the agent, the player, the league, the NFLPA. So there are a lot of things probably going on behind the scenes that we don't really know about, and sometimes these things take time.
Mary Kay, do you think it's just a matter of we're still talking guaranteed money, or do you think we're still trying to figure out from a legal perspective of what's happening, even though, charges were not ultimately filed, formal charges?
I don't think it's necessarily a legal perspective, but the NFL has still been investigating his case under their personnel conduct policy. So I think it's more so that than anything. If it has anything to do with the dropped domestic battery charge, it's just the league trying to determine if he should be disciplined or suspended or whatever the case may be. And the last I had heard, probably about a week ago, is that they were still reviewing the case. So I think it's kind of all tied in together.
Okay, well, that doesn't make me feel any better. But you're just doing your job here, Kay. I can't yell at you for not making me feel any better. So I guess should I consider it a wash, or what is this season going to be then?
Well, remember last year, Mike Hall Jr., even though he only pleaded guilty to disorderly conduct and not a domestic violence charge, the NFL still suspended him for 5 games. So I think you have to kind of look at it in that context. I don't know if they're going to suspend Quinshon. They're probably still conducting their investigation or wrapping it up. But I wouldn't be surprised if they do. I actually wouldn't be surprised if they don't. I've heard it both ways. I don't know what the outcome of that is going to be, but I just have to believe that the holdup has something to do with how it all works together.
All right, Mary Kay, obviously going into the season, it's now time to talk about the Cincinnati Bengals. And I think there is some optimism, even though the show hasn't necessarily sounded like it for the season. There is some optimism about this game because of what Myles Garrett has been able to do to that offensive line of the Bengals. But everything we are hearing from Cincinnati is they're treating this like the Super Bowl. So given that, will that make things tougher for the Browns?
I think it's going to be a really, really good battle. I think it's going to be a close game, and I think it's a game of matchups. So, of course, when you look at this football game, yes, you are looking at Myles Garrett against their offensive line and Myles Garrett and what he can do to Joe Burrow and what the game plan is for those guys. I think on both sides of the ball, there are some really, really intriguing matchups, and I think that the NFL world might just be a little bit surprised about what they see out of the Cleveland Browns. To turn on any site, you would think that the Cleveland Browns were the worst team in the history of football. I mean, 31st in almost every power ranking that I see. I asked Denzel about that yesterday. 31st for a football team that has arguably the best pass rusher in the NFL, one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL, now the number 5 pick, who will be wreaking havoc inside there in Mason Graham. You've got a Pro Bowler at quarterback for right now. You've got Pro Bowlers at tight end, wide receiver, and Jerry Jeudy. Your guards, your tackle, Jack Conklin. So I think there is more talent on this football team than people remember that there is because of what happened last season at 3-14. Now, I think it all depends on the quarterback play. If they get good quarterback play, then I think that they can win some games this season. If they're throwing interceptions and fumbling the ball away, then they're not going to win games. It comes down, in my mind, to the quarterback.
I kind of, and this could be taken, two in the hand, whatever, half dozen the other. When it comes to Joe Flacco, like we've been asking about the leash on Joe Flacco. How many games does he get? How many games does he get? I think it's more on how soon you can get the pups ready to go. Like if Dylan Gabriel looks like he's ready to go by week 4, maybe they squeeze the trigger on Dylan Gabriel. I think it's more on the rookies than it would be on Joe.
I think it's a combination of those things, because if Joe is going out there and he's hitting those explosive plays and he's not throwing interceptions and he's not getting sacked and he's not fumbling and he just so happens to win some football games, then I don't think that you can yank him out of there. I think you have to give this football team every possible chance to win. You can't sell losing to your fans. You can't sell it to your players. You have to be giving this football team every chance to win. And if he is demonstrating that he can do that, then you can't touch him. You've got to let him roll. But I do think that they love Dylan Gabriel, and I think they want to see him at some point this season. And it's really, I think, in my mind, up to Joe to keep him out of there and to say, no, this is mine. You go wait over there for a while.
One of the demoralizing things last year was the defensive performance. How do I know I can trust them again?
Well, there are a lot of unknowns. I think the defensive line looks good. I think Carson is bringing something really intriguing and interesting to the table at linebacker. And, of course, we know exactly what Denzel Ward is all about. After that, I think there are some unknowns. This is Greg Newsome's opportunity to step back up into the starting role and prove that he deserves to be an outside corner. He got that job taken away from him last year. Now he's back in that role, and he has a chance beginning this week to show that not only can he play well this season, but that he deserves an extension here. So we'll have to see how that goes. And, they're into their depth there in the secondary. So that's, I think, where they're going to have to really prove themselves. And what this defense needs to do this year, they need to make impact plays. Each one of those players needs to step up and elevate their game to the point where, once again, and Jim Schwartz has even said this, if you haven't made the Pro Bowl, make the Pro Bowl this year. And he set the bar very, very high for Miles. Okay, Miles, we've already seen you get NFL Defensive Player of the Year. Why not NFL MVP right now? So that's what these players are going to have to do. They're going to have to play above even their capabilities and show everyone what they've got.
So Denzel, we think we're going to see him matched up with Jamar Chase, but he'll always have somebody to very closely monitor. But with the loss of Emerson now, this is one of those teams where you could see that, oh boy, you need some other guys to step up in a big way. And some of those guys look like they struggled throughout camp and preseason. So what do you make of that situation going up against the Bengals this week?
Oh, my gosh. It's going to be really incredible this week to see what happens with those kind of matchups. And, I really think that the game, once again, is going to come down to how Myles Garrett can get to Joe Burrow. And I think the game is going to be won or lost there in the trenches, probably on both sides, because if you look to the other side of the ball, the Browns have got to protect Joe Flacco. Trey Hendrickson is also going to be playing with his hair on fire. And you've got DeJuan Jones over there at left tackle, and he has to be able to protect Joe Flacco in order for Joe to be able to run his game and hit those explosives downfield to Jerry Jeudy, now to Isaiah Bond, and some of those guys. So I think the pass rush is going to be a huge, huge element in this football game. And one of these guys is going to come out with, or maybe both of these guys are going to come out with multiple sacks, but I think that the game could turn there.
What's Tommy Rees' role now within the offense now that Kevin Stefanski has taken back over play calling? Has it gone back to like Alex Van Pelt?
Well, it's kind of like that unless Kevin decides to turn the play calling over to Tommy Rees. And we don't know for sure yet if he's decided to do that or not. I think he'll probably start out at least calling the plays himself because this is a brand new offense, and sometimes you want to see what it looks like out on the grass before you put it in the hands of someone else and put that responsibility on someone else. But Tommy, by all accounts, is a brilliant offensive mind, And if it makes sense for Kevin to turn it over to him, then I think he'll do that at some point.
Well, Kevin could actually turn over play calling.
Well, he turned it over to Ken last year, so I don't think that it's out of the realm of possibility. We haven't heard anything about that yet, but I do think that at some point Tommy possesses the ability to do that very, very well. And Kevin, this is, again, not an ego thing for Kevin. If he thinks that's the right thing to do, then he'll go ahead and do it.
How close is Mike Hall to getting back?
I think a couple weeks. I don't know if he'll be ready for the Ravens game next week. I think he's ramping up. I would put it more at week 3, maybe week 4. I would be surprised if he plays next week, but I can't completely rule him out at this point. But I would say more like 3 or 4.
All right, Mary Kay, what did you think of seeing not only Jimmy Haslam, not only Andrew Berry, but also, furthermore, Kevin Stefanski at that Ohio State game over the weekend? Plus, you saw Jimmy take off the private jet and go to another high-profile college football game.
Well, that's what it's going to be like this whole entire college football season. And I was also out at the Colorado showcase when Shador and Travis were out there, and Jimmy was out there too. So he's going to be using that private jet and getting these guys all around to these football games. He will go to them. He will take an active role in helping to make sure that they are leaving no stone unturned in their quest to find the best quarterback for themselves next year. And I think that's a lot of what this season is about. It's a fact-finding mission. I don't think that they feel convinced that they have their guy on this roster. They're hopeful that maybe they do. But I think this season is going to be one foot in the NFL and another foot in college football, and you'll see those guys all over the place.
Do we know who specifically was running scout team this week? Was it Shador? Was it Zappy?
I'm sure that Shador ran some of it, but no, I don't know for sure. We're kicked out of there after individuals, so we don't get to see that much. But I will say this, in regular practice that we do get to see, those reps are very, very hard to come by for Shador and Bailey. So they have to find creative and alternative ways to get those reps. There will still be split-off situations where they're getting them. There will be after practice reps that happen. But when you're installing the game plan, it's really difficult for those young quarterbacks to get reps, and it's been that way in practice this week.
Well, I only ask because, Joe Burrow, who would more closely resemble Joe Burrow at all? I know it's tough because he's a top 4 quarterback probably in the NFL, but stands to reason you probably have Zappy be the guy on scout team rather than Shador just to get your defense ready, right?
Well, I mean, it's a good point. I don't know if they're doing that or not, because I do remember when we talked to Shador about his situation, he was very, 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 very excited to go against the first team defense and looking forward to that. So I don't know. Maybe they're dividing it up. We'll find out more as the week goes along, and maybe they'll let us know. But it would make some sense to have Bailey doing some of that, but I'm sure Shador is doing some of it as well.
What has Joel Bitonio told you how he's feeling going into what we all assume is his last NFL season?
Well, Joel doesn't really like to talk too much in absolutes about, about that sort of thing. I think he still kind of tries to take it one season at a time and not look too far ahead, even though I think we all believe that this probably is his last season based on the fact that he really seriously pondered retiring before this season. But you never really know. It depends on what happens the season before. It depends on how your body is feeling. And so, you can never really rule it out. But I do think that, this is probably the swan song for Joel, and he won't want any fanfare about that. He's just going to want to do what he's always done, and that is to go out and do his job. And he's been a joy and a pleasure to cover, and you just cannot have enough guys on a football team like Joel Bitonio.
Mary Kay, thank you so much for the time, and of course, we'll talk to you again next Thursday.
Sounds good. Take care.
Mary Kay Cabot on the fan hotline, joining us, getting you ready for the Browns and Bengals coming up on Sunday. Still don't know about Quinshon Judkins. Should we give up asking, or?
I did. It wasn't just Mary Kay. I talked to some other people that thought this was going to happen this week. So I wonder what was the snag. I wonder what was there a last minute ask from Judkin's side, or was it on the Browns side? Are the Browns playing hardball over this situation, which I find interesting because I see people talking about, well, for potential behavioral things. And I'm like, well, Judkins was not a big risk coming out. There was no intel that I'd been made aware of, and he was at Ohio State last year, and I would have heard something. We did not. Mike Hall, we had heard some things. This, we hadn't. So if all of a sudden the Browns are playing hardball because they've got somebody that they consider at risk, then I don't know how much of a leg the Browns have to stand on given the amount of players they have even currently facing legal issues.
Kevin Cougler, 901, Fox Sports play-by-play. He'll be on the call with Daryl Johnston for the Browns and Bengals. Coming up in 5 minutes, did Peterlin take a page out of the Slippery Wizards book? Ken Carmen, Anthony Lima. Take us with you to work on the free Odyssey app and watch us at home or at work on YouTube Live.
It's Anthony Lima for Fanatic Sportsbook.
Call now or visit HomeGeniusExteriors.com.
92.3 The Fan has the most local sports talk in town, and you can be a part of it anytime you want. Weigh in on X at 92.3 The Fan and see our hosts make your reactions a part of our shows. Powered by Sheiben Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store. Headline sports news every 20 minutes from the University Hospital's sports desk. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Guardians aren't dead. They are still alive. Contrary to popular belief, there are still only 3 games back of the wild card now with 24 games left to go. I know I got the math wrong at the beginning of the show yesterday. I'm terrible with math. Now the countdown is on. There are 24 games left to go. There are only 3 games out of the wild card. They got Tampa Bay coming up this weekend. So there is possibilities. There is possibilities. They are still very much alive in the wild card at 69-69. Yes, I know that's very nice. I think it's a 4-game series, if I'm not mistaken, against Tampa Bay that starts tonight here over the weekend. I know the rest of the way that the quote goes. I am waiting. If they do well, I give credit to everybody except Paul Dolan. If they don't do well, I blame Paul Dolan, and I don't blame a lot of other guys because I think they're doing their best. I could get into the Caminero thing if I wanted to, but I mean, that's, to me, it's ticky-tack at this moment. We'll find out more this weekend. And I can maybe go after Antonetti and churn off a little bit. I know Stephen Voda's made some mistakes. You get 162 games. You get 9 innings. There's plenty of times to make mistakes. It's a tough job to have. I don't think that the guy's out. I don't think there's been 2 years ago or last year, there was some talk about Gabe Arias not doing his best. And sometimes letting the emotions get to him and not running it out, things like that. There was a lot of conversation about that. I don't think that there's guys who are half-assing anything now. I think guys definitely care. I think at times they're pressing at the plate, and it's hurt their batting average. I think that's what happens. That's what's happened with Stephen Kwan. I don't hold their feet to the fire on that. If they make the postseason, thumbs up to everybody except Paul Dolan. If they don't make the postseason, I'm going to go after Paul Dolan. I think people should go after you a little bit because I think I'd like to have fun with that. But I'm not going to go after the players. Unless they do something egregious between now and then. Well, I would go after Emmanuel Clase and Luis Ortiz because it would definitely help their chances if they weren't
Be nice to have them.
Trouble for the... Of course, I got to find out whether or not they were coerced into something like that because that was a rumor going around as well.
Oh.
In Dominican Republic, I mean, it's different. So I got to, before I go ripping guys, I want to make sure that they were acting on their own volition before any of that.
I got to say, I'm kind of blown away that even after the 5-game losing streak that they just had, I can't believe they're only 3 games out of the playoffs, and they're only 500, and they've not been good at home. I am amazed that they are sitting here with any shot whatsoever to make the playoffs because it feels like the way we've talked about them, it's just been so bad. So many holes, so many issues, so many platoons that it's not a good platoon. They've all been bad platoons. It's not been a fun situation outside of seeing Manzardo showing some real promise.
But other than Manzardo, we've made arguments for Manzardo. You haven't had a whole lot of reasons to trust guys, the pups, the real young guys, to play every day just yet. Did Peterlin take a page out of your book as the slippery wizard? Now, the audio we're going to play, we don't have any Peterlin in this. You heard this at the beginning of the show yesterday on Afternoon Drive. All right, tell me more. Well, explain what we're about to play here.
They had the topic on the afternoon show with Nick Wilson and Peterlin on whether or not Sunday at 1 o'clock is more likely to be a blowout or a close game, one that the Browns can actually fight through and win. They had that debate, and I think Peterlin took the tact of, probably blowout. I mean, they're big-time underdogs at home. Joe Burrow had an amazing year last year. He's healthy. He wasn't healthy 2 years ago, and we held him to 80 yards. It was a very interesting discussion between the two of them.
And what did he trick Nick into doing?
I think Nick got pretty damn close to almost guaranteeing a victory.
Did Nick guarantee a victory here? Now Nick's taking pages out of my book.
Let's hear it.
Listen to it. All right.
I think the Browns are going to be a very competitive 3-5 win team, and that starts this weekend. And yeah, I think they have a decent chance to beat the Bengals. I think they have a better chance to beat the Bengals. A far better. I'll go one step further.
Okay.
If given a Browns win or the Browns get blown out on Sunday, there's only one option, and it's a Browns win. I'm going to rubber stamp it with a guarantee, knowing that this sound will be played against me in the damn future.
So he's guaranteeing a Browns win there.
It sounded like he did everything but guarantee the
He
Browns
said rubber
victory.
stamp it with a guarantee. Yeah.
Rubber stamp what with a guarantee?
Was it a guarantee
win,
that it'll just be really close?
He said no. He said either they win or they get blown out. Here, we'll play it again.
Okay.
I think the Browns are going to be a very competitive 3-5 win team, and that starts this weekend. And yeah, I think they have a decent chance to beat the Bengals. I think they have a better chance to beat the Bengals. A far better. I'll go one step further.
Okay.
If given a Browns win or the Browns get blown out on Sunday, there's only one option, and it's a Browns win. I'm going to rubber stamp it with a guarantee, knowing that this sound will be played against me in the damn future.
I'm going to rubber stamp it with a guarantee that they win.
That the Browns win, and here we are in the future
normally,
playing the sound.
This is the only thing throwing me for a loop.
Yeah.
The only thing throwing me for a loop is, and again, it was a great debate, and that's why I had to tell you guys. I'm like, we got to play some of this on the radio because I really enjoyed it. Jonathan was getting under Nick's skin. Nick had some great retorts. He had great reasons why.
Because I felt that Nick was kind of led down a path there that you've led me down many times, and I felt for Nick where I guaranteed a victory over Denver with Baker Mayfield because of my ego playing into it. I guaranteed a victory over the Raiders last year because I felt bad because of the kindergarten kids and the kindergarten teacher that called in.
That's right. I remember that.
And then you egged me on.
Yeah,
and
you get caught up.
I'm 0 for 2, so I can never guarantee anything again. And here you are, or Jonathan is, taking a page out of your book here where he kind of shoved Nick in the general direction of guaranteeing a victory.
And listen, I know we got Cougler on coming up in 9 minutes. If Nick wants to clarify, if he's had some time to think about it.
Well, one phone line's ringing right now, a special one, so I don't know who's trying to call in the back phone. Or if he just wants to say it. But normally when people guarantee victories, what do? It's short and to the point and sweet. Browns are going to win, I guarantee it. There was a lot there that just made me wonder, okay, is he couching it? And then at the very end, I'm like, no, I think he just guaranteed the win. If you're going to guarantee something, just go out and guarantee it. Now, if they lose, you're going to have to answer for it. Now, you better if you're going to have the stones to do it, you better go out and do it full. Guaranteeing a win. Hey, I'll agree with Nick. I think they have. It's week 1. Even if you think they're going to be terrible. Bad teams win week 1. I don't know how the season's going to go. I'm looking over the Beacon Journals stuff right now. I mean, it's 5-12, 5-12, 4-13, 5-12. George Thomas, who can be a negative Nelly in his own right, he says 8-9. 8-9 would be fantastic.
Okay.
Of course, half you say that's a waste of all of our time there, but whatever.
Coach Riz has said 9 wins.
Coach Riz says 9 wins.
Danny Cannell said, I think, close to 9 maybe
wins.
10.
So I said 6 is what I'm giving you. Either way, Sunday's a great chance because even if you think they're going to be bad, even if you think you're going to be downright lousy teams have a real good chance to win week 1. Week 1 tends to be sloppy. They're slop fest. Teams will leave you in it. So I don't think they're going to get blown out. I'm not going to guarantee a win. I'm not going to go with Nick. But if Nick's going to guarantee a win this year, this is the time to guarantee that win.
But so apparently they ran a poll question yesterday that was which was more likely, a blowout loss or a close game. And this is where Nick came in with, and I guess Nick's not guaranteeing the win, even though he says he's guaranteeing a win there, but he's saying it's more likely that they win the game than they get blown out in the game.
It's more, yeah. Yes, this is going to be, I don't think this, fine, record this too. This is going to be a close game.
But have we ever?
I think this will come down to the final couple of minutes.
Would there ever be from Ken Carman a way that Ken Carman would ever come on the air for week 1 of an NFL Brown season and say the Browns could get blown out? I don't think I would ever hear you say that. Even following 1-15.
I thought you thought I was going to get.
I think even you probably made a case the year after they went 1-15 that they had a shot in the opener.
Their poll is still open. It has 5 hours left on it. Currently, the options are which week 1 result would surprise you the most? A Browns win or a Browns getting blown out? Which would surprise you the most? And the surprise you the most would be 50.5% is Browns win. I mean, it's neck and neck right now on that.
I'd be really shocked if they got blown out on Sunday.
See, I wouldn't.
Are you kidding me? It's week 1.
And they got Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. And we've got Joe Flacco and a terrible wide receiver
room. Their camp has
room.
been tougher. I'm telling you, they're going to come out. They're going to try to have ball control.
Oh, that's true. Who's our running back?
Greg Pruitt. They're going to try to run the football. They're going to try to not turn the ball over. He's got that hat, babe. It's going to be a tight game. It's not going to be last year. It's not going to be. Damn well better not be last year, but it's not going to be last year. It's going to be a tight game. I'm not going to guarantee that they're going to win it, but I do like the Browns in this one. I'll tell you that right now.
Is that a guarantee?
No, I said I like the Browns in this one. That's what I said.
You guarantee
that is not a guarantee.
You like the Browns.
I like the Browns. I did not use that G word. I ain't going to use that G word. You know who really wants a tight game? Kevin Cougler. He's on the play-by-play call on Fox Sports for Sunday's game. We'll get the skinny with him. Do we get the usual sleepy Bengals? That's coming up at 9:01 on the Fan.
Anthony Lima.
and 92.3 The Fan. Headline sports news every 20 minutes on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Anthony Allant.
Sundays do not exist without us.
Pump fake, he's going to run. He jumps. Touchdown on 4th down.
This is the radio home of the Cleveland Browns. 92.3 The Fan.
Well, we already have people backing down from tough talk on the Fan. That's great. Getting ready for the Browns and Bengals, and we're all like, I didn't say that. You didn't say that. Keith calling up, yelling at us about, it sounded like a guarantee to me.
Are they accusing us of doctoring the audio?
I didn't doctor a damn thing. I don't even know how to doctor
the audio? Did Mitch doctor the audio?
I'm not the doctor that you're looking for.
Listen, I've guaranteed things before and it hasn't worked out. Be a man. You guaranteed it. Step in there and back up your guarantee. Kevin Cougler joins us right now. He guarantees it's going to be an entertaining broadcast because he is the play-by-play guy on this game with Fox Sports, with Daryl Johnston and Allison Williams, and he joins us right now on the Fan Hotline. Kevin, good morning to you.
Just a caveat, my guarantees are not valid in the state of Ohio.
Well, then what the hell do we have you for, Kevin? No. Thank you for joining us this morning, Kevin. Getting ready for week one. Got football tonight. Nick Sirianni isn't going to acknowledge the banner going up over
I love that. I love that so much.
What? Hey, just real quick. I know it ain't your game right now, Kevin, but why? You got to go out there. You got to acknowledge that. I mean, everybody on earth had you fired after week 4 last year, and you went on to a run to a Super Bowl. You can't acknowledge it. You can't acknowledge the banner.
I don't know why you don't acknowledge it. It doesn't make any sense to me. But in the context of the coach and everything that goes on there, you know what? Probably it makes a little more sense.
He is a strange bird. Kevin Cougler joining us here in the Fan Hotline. All right, so you got one team that has been a disappointment the last couple of years, finished 9-8 last year, and then you got another team that's kind of in a state of flux. It's all over the place right now with the Browns. What do you expect to see on Sunday?
I'm hoping for competitiveness from both teams. That's the first thing, because as I said, apparently I guaranteed a good broadcast, and a good game is what I will add to my guarantee. But I think what you'll see is offense. I really do think both of these teams have the potential to put up some points. The question for me is the same that you had last year with Cleveland. Are you going to turn over the ball, and if so, how many times? Because when you turn it over as much as they did last year, you're going to go 3-14. That's the nature of this league. You cannot go to the playoffs. You cannot win games if you don't value the football. And Cleveland didn't value the football last year, and you were 3-14 as a result. And the Bengals, everybody knows the story of their slow starts, and I'm sure people will be frustrated because we'll talk about it at the top of the broadcast. Just a reminder that not everybody who watches our broadcast has great takes and great thoughts like you guys do who listen every day.
Thank you.
But you're welcome. But this is the story with the Bengals. They've changed their entire preseason routine to try to not be 0-2 to start a season for the 4th straight year. So I think you've got two teams that feel like they've got something to prove, two teams that I know think they're better than they were a year ago. But again, can the Browns keep from turning it over? Can the Bengals stop anybody? That's going to be the real question this year, is what that defense does for the Bengals. Their offense is going to be good, assuming health. Is their defense going to be able to stop anybody during the course of this season?
What I love about this game is obviously that it's the opener between two teams that know each other. A lot of trash talk, especially when it comes to the Browns and some of their defensive players.
The secondary with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins,
I absolutely love it because they have been able to beat the Bengals. They're 5-3 against Joe Burrow, which is, I think, hard to believe if you told people outside of Cleveland that stat. But with that said, Kevin, it seems like the lead up to this game for Cincinnati, they're making this seem like the biggest start to a season ever.
There's a lot of pressure on them. And there's a lot of pressure on Zach Taylor. There's a lot of pressure on the franchise, because I think you've got a franchise that's starting to worry, are we wasting Joe Burrow? Are we wasting his prime years? Are we wasting a franchise generational quarterback if we don't get this thing turned around quickly? So I think there's a ton of pressure on the Bengals in this opener, maybe more so than on any team in opening week in the National Football League this year. I can't think of any other team that the entire storyline has been, you're not very good in the first 2 weeks of the season, like it's been for the Cincinnati Bengals really in the entire tenure of Zach Taylor, 1-11 in the first 2 weeks of a season. The only win coming in overtime against the Vikings in 2021. I mean, this is the story for the Bengals, and I do think there is a lot of pressure on them to come out of the gates strong against a team they're favored to beat, but against a team that you said is 5-3 against Joe Burrow, and Joe's got one win in the city of Cleveland his entire career. I mean, this is not exactly an easy game for Joe Burrow in a game that the Bengals are putting a lot of pressure and emphasis on, that they have to get out of the gate strong this year.
And when he won that game, Kevin, it felt, I mean, he almost looked like when Steve Young won the Super Bowl, and he was like looking like, can somebody get the monkey off my back? Like he was that excited to get that win. Joe Flacco, though, against the Bengals, 4,500 passing yards. Of course, played against the Bengals a whole bunch of times when he was the franchise quarterback of the Ravens. 40-year-old guy, you know, a lot of people don't expect him to finish the season as the starting quarterback with the Browns. What do you expect from him? What is he saying he expects from himself this year?
We had him quite a bit when the Browns brought him off the couch in 2023. For some reason, our crew that year just kept landing on the Browns games. Sorry, Browns fans. And we ended up having 2 or 3 of those games that Joe had down the stretch. If you can tell me it's going to be that Joe Flacco, I think Browns fans are going to be very happy. He was tremendous. And I don't know that you can expect that fast forwarding 2 years, more hits later, more interceptions the last 2 years than starts. I mean, Joe's still got the great arm. I expect Joe to zip the ball down the field. I expect him to be able to hit a receiver in stride 35 yards out. I don't know what he's going to do to elude a pass rush. You've got to hope that offensive line is a little bit better with Mike Bloomgren kind of running the show now up front. I don't know what you're going to see from Joe Flacco from the ability to maneuver this team up and down the field, and is there going to be a run game to help support him? I think that's the biggest question with this offense outside of what the quarterback situation looks like, is especially early when you're still unsure what's going on with Quinshon Judkins. Is Jerome Ford going to be that guy who's going to be able to give you a consistent run threat as a Browns offense to take some of the pressure off Joe Flacco? If it's consistently 3rd down and 8 and beyond, then that doesn't bode well for this Browns offense all season, regardless of who's playing quarterback. Whether you have one of the 2 rookies, whether you have Joe Flacco, whether you have somebody off the practice squad, it doesn't matter. If you can't run the football at all, and I know this is a passing league and you're going to have to throw the ball a lot, but you've got to have some semblance of a run game, especially with a quarterback who is advanced in years and is not necessarily the most mobile of guys and really never has been.
Do you have any reason to believe Cincinnati's defense can take a step forward this year?
Other than just blind optimism that Al Golden is going to be the guy who comes in and sparks this team? Not really. I mean, you have to hope, if you're a Bengals fan, that your secondary is going to go back to where they have been. Can Cam Taylor-Britt play like a number 1 corner again? That's a question. I don't know. Is Trey Hendrickson? I mean, look, Trey Hendrickson's probably going to have plenty of pass rushes, plenty of pressures, plenty of sacks, but that didn't exactly help them last year. Somebody else has got to come along for the ride. Shamar Stewart. Somebody has got to be the guy on the opposite side. I know the Browns have had similar questions on the opposite side of Myles Garrett. Are they excited about Alex Wright? It seems like it, but is that going to be the guy to provide that heat on the other side when Myles Garrett gets the attention? It's a very similar conversation with the Bengals right now, is who's going to be the person on the other side to help out Trey Hendrickson, and I don't know that that's been determined yet. Maybe we'll start to see glimpses of that coming up on Sunday. But again, Trey Hendrickson led the National Football League in sacks. He's the top sack guy in the league the last 2 years, and it really hasn't helped the Bengals. That defense was really, really bad last season. It's got to be better because, again, you've got an offense that's going to put up points that has skill at every position. It's the defense for the Bengals that's the giant question going into this season. If it's not better, then they won't be better.
You know, we were talking earlier, we're joined by Kevin Cougler right now. It's going to be on the call this weekend in Cleveland. Joe Burrow has said very nice things about the Browns defense. It was a couple of years ago. He's had like 85 passing yards. It was an abysmal performance. He was banged up. There was a little rain, obviously. Situation's not going to be identical this week. But do you think, Zach Taylor will have the whole scheme revolving around making sure Myles Garrett doesn't single-handedly wreck this game?
I think you have to. I mean, you still have questions against outside of that with the Browns, obviously, and you're trying to figure out if you can recapture the magic of 2 years ago when it was the top defense in the National Football League. No Owusu-Koramoah, that's a huge loss. I thought the Martin Emerson injury was really big, and I expected Jordan Hicks, when the preseason started, was going to be somebody that contributed, and then he tapped out 2 days into camp. So I think there's still a lot of things that you're looking at with this Browns defense that are questions, and they're questions too for Zach Taylor. But one question is not Myles Garrett. You know what Myles Garrett provides. You know what he's going to do. And I think if you're anybody who's scheming against the Browns, especially in week one, the known commodity is Myles Garrett. How do you stop him? You throw everything at him. You throw the kitchen sink at him to try to keep him from wreaking havoc. And then you see, look, if Alex Wright comes out and has 3 sacks in this game, you tip your cap. I mean, you probably don't if you're Zach Taylor because you're very angry at that point. But you tip your cap as somebody who watches this game and you say, you know what? They got somebody else now to go alongside Myles Garrett who can make some plays. And I think that's one of the things I'm anxious to see from this Browns defense. Among other things, there's a ton of great stories in this game. I'm excited for it.
Kevin Cougler, Fox Sports, with us on the Fan Hotline. So there's going to be some fans who roll their eyes at this, but I just can't help myself.
All right.
Will there be any shots of Shedeur Sanders on the sideline, any conversation about him at all during the game?
I understand there will be eyes rolling. I assume there will be a little conversation, but here's the thing I would say, and maybe Shedeur at some point in his career, maybe some point this year, becomes the Browns starting quarterback. Like you guys said, who knows if Joe Flacco is going to be the quarterback at the end of this season. The conversation will likely be limited to the quarterback position as a whole. I don't know that it's going to focus specifically on Shedeur because he's the number 3 quarterback right now. He's likely going to only be available in an emergency if Flacco and Gabriel both get hurt. So the quarterback conversation, at least as far as I'm concerned, and I'm sure Moose feels the same way, my partner, Darrell Johnston, to me, the conversation is more of a big picture conversation because it's week one. Right now, Joe Flacco is the starter. You look at that first half of the schedules, I'm sure everybody has, and you say, woof, that's a lot to throw a rookie into. I don't care which rookie quarterback it is. But you also have to look to the future and say, we need to know what we have at that quarterback position before going into the draft next year when there's potentially other quarterbacks available that you might be in a position to take. So I think that's the bigger conversation as far as I'm concerned is the quarterback position as a whole. I don't know that Shedeur is going to be the guy that gets a whole lot of the spotlight in this game.
So you call a lot of football. We've heard you on Westwood One here on this station. We've heard you obviously we've watched you and heard you on Fox Sports. There's been 60-plus QBs that have started in the season over the last couple of years. It's an exceedingly high number now. Is there a theory that you have, or maybe even Moose has, about what we're doing wrong either in the pros or in college with some of these guys?
My theory is sort of a mix. I look at it and say, in one aspect, we are paying these guys so much that we're putting them in right away, and we're expecting them to be great right away. And when they're not great right away, we discard them because Josh Rosen set the table for all of this. Remember the Arizona Cardinals years and years ago, drafted him first round. He flamed out. They threw him into the fire with a team that wasn't ready for a rookie quarterback. He flamed out and he basically disappeared, bounced around the league a few years. They went and drafted Kyler Murray the very next year, and they tossed him aside. He was done. It was a first-round pick that lasted a year. They tossed him aside. I think we've gotten into that mindset now with rookie quarterbacks. I mean, even as late as Patrick Mahomes, remember, as great as Patrick Mahomes is, he sat the first year behind Alex Smith in Kansas City. He had a year to watch. And I'm not saying that's the end-all, be-all. We've seen young quarterbacks like last year, for example, Jaden Daniels and Bo Nix, and even Drake May got better as the season went along as rookie quarterback. So it's not a tried-and-true theory, but I do think there are some quarterbacks that we rush into this thing too quickly. And we look at this and say, we've got to have a decision right now. We're paying you X amount of dollars. We need some sort of return on that investment. And if we don't get that return, we're going back into the draft and we're getting something else. We as a society, perhaps it's a societal question, we go out and if this thing doesn't work, we don't fix it anymore. We toss it aside and we go buy a new one from, whatever big box store we want to buy it from, and we throw the other thing away. we don't ever work on fixing that stuff anymore because we just toss it aside and get something else. It's kind of the same mindset I've seen with quarterbacks in this league over the last decade. And to me, it started with Josh Rosen in Arizona.
Well, Kevin, when you make the fabulous leases so affordable and I don't have to go about fixing anything, so let's not start about the right to repair laws in this country. I mean, no, I'm kidding. Kevin, thank you so much for the time. Hopefully we'll run into each other on Sunday. If not, enjoy your time here in Cleveland. Have a great call on Sunday. I obviously hope the Browns win. You can't say anything, but still enjoy your time here.
I will. Thanks so much for having me on.
Thank you. Kevin Cougler joining us from Fox Sports on the Fan Hotline. Guys, don't come after me for that. I had to ask the question.
No, it's great. I smiled. Anybody who's watching live on YouTube, I smiled. It was like, there you go.
You could see if you're watching, you could see my face when I thought of the question.
Yes. And look, if this is a close game, if this one is tight, I don't think you're going to see any of Shedeur Sanders. It might be just a mention of it because, his popularity probably warrants just that. If it's a blowout in the second half and Flacco plays terribly, I think you're going to be seeing a little bit more of Shedeur Sanders.
We got guys on this station already backing down from tough talk. But, Lima, I got to ask you a real quick question. Give me a percentage of gamblers that we are talking to right now.
Ooh.
Percentage of the audience.
40%, 35%.
I'm going to tell you to take the over on Joe Flacco. Coming up next on The Fan.
Anthony Limo for Diamonds Direct, corner Richmond and
holds a mythic place in American culture. But there are stories you won't hear on the campus tours.
The higher-ups are concerned about one thing, and that is avoiding scandal.
I'm Margot Gray. On the new podcast, Campus Files, we cover everything from rigged admissions to the drama of Greek life and student protests. Listen to and follow Campus Files, an Odyssey original podcast. Available now on the free Odyssey app and wherever you get your podcasts.
Miss one day and you miss a lot. We are the radio home of the Cleveland Browns.
Here we go, Brownies! Here we go!
92.3 The Fan.
Want clarification. And I'm efforting that clarification right now. Hopefully we'll get clarification by the end of the show.
Listen.
Because I don't want to misrepresent anybody. I don't want to do that.
Other shows do dramatic investigative work over big issues in sports.
I'll get the Galax involved. I'll double Galax.
We want to get to the bottom of this. Meanwhile, you can win a pair of tickets. Not wear a pair of tickets. That'd be interesting. Win a pair of tickets to the 27th annual Taste of the Browns on September 15th, Huntington Bank Field. And you know what? If you win, come and say hello to the Tone Master. Might get a night out.
Going?
Might get a free pass.
No, he went to call me. You got to call into the station.
Might be a night out. Put him on speaker. Anyway, your chance to win those tickets to the Taste of the Browns, a great event, also benefits the Greater Cleveland Food Bank. All you have to do, enter the word FUND, F-U-N-D. By the end of the hour, 923thefan.com to get registered to win. Get tickets at greaterclevelandfoodbank.org. There's always luminaries there, Cleveland Browns players there. I think Wyatt Teller, is he going to be there? Either way, it's a great event, and if you're looking to buy tickets, you can obviously do that. Look for the Taste of the Browns. All from Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
So I have some audio to play for everybody. We're going to play this clip again, and then we're going to get down to the nitty-gritty here. We're going to get down to the bottom of this. So here is yesterday afternoon. This is at the beginning of the show. You texted me live.
It was awesome.
While this was going on.
I was
not able to listen to that clip.
I said I loved how passionate the two of them were getting. I thought Jonathan was getting under Nick's skin. Nick made some great volleys back and forth.
You've gotten under my skin many times, so I understand where Nick is coming from in this scenario. Let's play this audio again about possible guarantees being made on afternoon drive. Hit it.
I think the Browns are going to be a very competitive 3-5 win team, and that starts this weekend. And yeah, I think they have a decent chance to beat the Bengals. I think they have a better chance to beat the Bengals. A far better. I'll go one step further.
Okay.
If given a Browns win or the Browns get blown out on Sunday, there's only one option, and it's a Browns win. I'm going to rubber stamp it with a guarantee, knowing that this sound will be played against me in the damn future.
So it sounds like he's guaranteeing a win.
And then inviting the sound to be played in the future. The future is now.
I like guys with stones, and that was real pills by Nick. Now let's bring in Nick. He's on the fan hotline. Nick Wilson, host of Afternoon Drive with him and Jonathan Peterlin. They have a wonderful producer as well. They're good people over there. Nick, good morning to you. Thank you very much for getting in on the bat phone.
Well, gentlemen, thank you. And I'd also like to thank you, Ken, for complimenting on the quality of my pills. I appreciate that.
They're very, very good. Very, very big. Now, I thought, because I've guaranteed twice Browns wins, and I've been wrong both times, and I've had to endure a lot of chastising and abuse because I've guaranteed Browns wins, and I ended up losing on them. Now, you, on the other hand, I don't want to misrepresent you now, because Keith got all hot in the shorts about whether or not we were misrepresenting you. So I'm like, well, I'm just going to go to the horse himself. I'm going to bring in Nick. So did you or did you not guarantee a Browns win yesterday?
Not in the way that I think you guys might have thought, given the way you heard the clip right there. What I said was, if my two options are that the Browns either get blown out or they win, in that case, I'm forced to guarantee a win. Because I guarantee, it's more that I guarantee they won't get blown out.
Why don't you just take the next step and guarantee a win? I know you're already
Ken
feeling
was excited.
I thought
he
I
was
was like,
really
man,
excited.
this is good. This is good stuff. Like, I'm not, like, Nick, hand to God, and people can see me live right now on YouTube. I will not, look, like, I'll north here. I will not rip you on Monday if the Browns go getting blown out, because I agree with you. I think it's going to be a tight game. I won't guarantee it, but I'm picking the Browns to win on Sunday against the Bengals. So if you want to go ahead and guarantee, I am not going to rip you for guaranteeing it, or on Monday morning, get everybody all bopped up and get them going to rip you as well. I won't do it. I can't speak for the guy across the table from me, but I know I won't do it.
Why are you trying to Trojan horse me? I was here to clear the air, to squash the bad blood, and you're trying to Trojan horse me into guaranteeing a Browns win. I've said all year long they're a 3-5 win team. What are we doing here?
Yeah, but this could be one of the 3 to 5 wins, and think about how great you would look if this was one of the 3 to 5 wins. It's a 17-game schedule.
Nick would be championed.
If they win 3 games, you pick one of the wins. That's Nostradamus. That's Nick Stradamus right there. So let me again. You'd be the hero of the city if you picked them to win, if you guaranteed a win. We're sitting here during this season. I mean, during the show, I said, people have been telling me I tell it like it is, and I go, I don't think I've told it like it is. Let me tell you like it is, because I've wanted things to be better than maybe what they are. And I want Nick to make me feel better and guarantee a Browns victory on Sunday against the Cincinnati Bengals. You're almost there, Nick.
Ken, now that you're saying it, you're making a lot of sense here. And I'm going to say right here on air, I guarantee the Browns won't get blown out on Sunday. Let's go, Cleveland.
It's not enough, Nick.
I like you. You call me the slippery wizard.
It's not enough.
Nick, I heard you guys go back and forth yesterday, and I thought you were making really good points, because this is the one team where we have seen Joe Burrow rattled before. On the flip side, against the Browns, on the flip side, I keep hearing that this is the Super Bowl for the Bengals. They don't want to go 0-2 for the 4th straight year. Man, Kevin Cougler said they've been 1-11 in their first 2 games in his reign as head coach. Even you looked at me, Ken. You're like, 1-11? So they've had to hear this.
I did not know 1-11.
Yeah, they've had to hear this nonstop. Do you think that could potentially work against the Browns? Because we do know in the preseason, the Bengals were taking the preseason more seriously than any team in the NFL.
I think that's fair. I also wonder, I know we always have to put the clarification on the importance of week 1 because it comes first. But at some point, the Browns should need to win week 1, because if you don't, it starts the clock on Dylan Gabriel really quickly here. If the Bengals go 0-1, okay, you still have Joe Burrow, and as long as he's healthy, you're going to have a chance to win a championship. I honestly think the Bengals are in their own head about week 1 and the start of this.
Ooh, I like that.
Not to flip this on its ear, but I look at this and I'm like, it's kind of pathetic that a team that's been in a Super Bowl and an AFC title game with Joe Burrow is sitting out here playing players in the preseason when we all know the Bengals' slow starts, at least from Joe's side, has been the guy hasn't been healthy in camp or in preseason since they were in the AFC title game last. Honestly, it's a little soft for a team that should be thinking about competing for a championship this year.
I like that.
I like this take.
I needed Nick on earlier. People were accusing me of being really negative.
Take.
We needed this point of view.
I like that take.
Nick Wilson, one more thing. I think something in this clip is going to irritate you. So we'll see if the light bulb comes on. The guy who's going to be handling the play-by-play duties this week, Kevin Cougler, on Fox, on whether or not you're going to see a bunch of number 12 on the sidelines.
Here's the thing I would say, and maybe Shedeur at some point in his career, maybe some point this year, becomes the Browns' starting quarterback. The conversation will likely be limited to the quarterback position as a whole. I don't know that it's going to focus specifically on Shedeur because he's the number 3 quarterback. I don't know that Shedeur is going to be be the gets a whole lot of the spotlight in this game.
Wait, what are you reacting
to there, Nick? Why is it so hard to say Shedeur? It's there. The name is right there. And God bless Kevin Cougler. He's better at what he does than what I do, and than I am at what I do. I give him full credit for being a great
eraser phrase, total eraser phrase.
It absolutely is. So I can rip the hell out of him, and it's everyone in this town. I've chastised Meredith Kane, one of my best friends at the station, because she said Shedeur before. It's Shedeur. It's not that freaking hard.
Okay, Nick, you can remedy this. Do you need to get Cougler back on just so that he says it the right way on national television? Because they're going to show him.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And if it's a blowout, which I know you don't see coming, but if it's a blowout, you know what's going to happen in the second half, especially if Flacco doesn't play well. You know who the cameras are going to be fixated on.
I'll just tell you this right now. If I get Kevin Cougler on before the end of this week, it will just to square this away. And the second that he says Shedeur Sanders, I'm going to cut him off the air and say, all right, good luck on Sunday. I have no other use of need for him other than to hear him say the name of Shedeur Sanders right. Which at some point,
is the correct pronunciation, Nick. You're mad at him saying Shedeur.
Shedeur.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Shedeur.
He's got it. He's got the official pronouncer.
It's on the pronunciation guide right there.
Shedeur.
Oh, my God.
Hey, man, it's okay. He has until December to learn it. Don't worry. Don't worry.
You said early November, right?
Who said early November? Him?
Wait. Peterlin said fourth quarter.
I heard late October.
Peterlin said fourth quarter this Sunday.
Well, I don't know. I won't be here to do it because when they roll Bailey Zappi out there before him, my head's going to explode like the guy in Scanners.
Does it matter to you? Does it matter to you, Nick? Who ran scout team this week? We had Mary Kay on to get down to the bottom of it. I was hearing whispers it might have been Zappi. They don't let the local media film any of it, and we don't know definitively. So does it matter to you who ran scout team?
It doesn't. But wait, if you don't want to see Bailey Zappi before Shedeur, wait till you see Deshaun Watson before Shedeur.
All right, that's enough. We've had enough. I don't want to go after the messenger. I mean, it's a possibility, but I don't want to go after the messenger. But Nick, you're welcome now.
That's fair. I appreciate the proper context to what I said being on air now.
Thank you, Nick. Nick Wilson on the Fan Hotline. So there you go. Try to goad him into it today. You got 2 more days to goad him into a guarantee. Apparently, Spencer guaranteed a victory.
Whoa, all right.
Spencer German potato salad chocolate cake. All right.
Did James Rapine say anything on this?
Is the season on the line starting tonight? I'm not talking about who you think I'm talking about. And if for all you gamblers, take the over on Joe. I'll explain why coming up in 5 minutes on the Fan. Peter and Company Jewelers in Avon. Let me.
kids' shoes are on the Find My app. Plus, they're available for boys and girls. Get Find My Skechers at Skechers.com, a Skechers store near you, or wherever kids' shoes are sold. Apple AirTags sold separately.
It's game week, Browns fans. Keep it right here as we continue to get you ready for the Browns home opener versus the Bengals. This is the radio home of the Cleveland Browns.
Touchdown!
92.3 The Fan.
Let's go, baby. We got a game on Sunday.
And we got a guarantee of no blowout. Right here, you heard it
All right,
second.
Dad.
You heard it here second.
Come on.
You heard it first yesterday, but I didn't hear it accurately, and then Mitch didn't cut it correctly. And then that ignited a fight between the boss and Ken that spilled out over the next two segments.
For the record, I wasn't fighting him. There was one time, I will tell you, I don't want to say it on the air.
Go ahead.
It's just going to create problems.
Say it with your chest.
Yes.
Because I got upset with him because I'm sitting there going, I was told to shut up and just accept it when they clip videos of me and it makes me look like hell and I get a bunch of people cussing me out. I was just told to accept it. But man, I tell you what, anyone else goes and bitches Keith's ear off, well, you're going to have hell to pay with Keith. I say anything to Keith, creme it with walnuts, fatty. Anybody else says anything to Keith? Well, Ken's got a lesson to learn now. But you guys make me out to be like I just press buttons in here. I'm the button presser. I'm the Wizard of Oz. It couldn't be further from the truth. I'm the lowest man on the totem pole. Woe is me. My coach used to say it. Woe is me, my dog just died. Like, why are you saying that? I'm taking the over on Joe. Did you see the odds came in?
No.
Sportsbetting.ag. I don't know how good that is, but we get them. It says first bench quarterback odds. I'm assuming this is all Vegas. Spencer Rattler, 5-2. Number one. The best odds. Number two, Joe Flacco, 3-1. Then there's Daniel Jones, 5-1. JJ McCarthy, 7-1. Holy potato salad. Russell Wilson, down the line. Baker Mayfield's actually 33-1, but that's down the list. Joe's 3-1. I don't think I'm taking the over on Joe. I'm taking the over. I think right now, Daniel Jones, Russ, Spencer, they will get benched before Joe. I will take other guys. Now, this is benching is non-injury related. The player bench must not start the following game. So it's non-injury related. So if everybody's healthy, I'm taking the over on Joe. I do think it's more about the pups being ready than it is Joe in his wheels shaking and falling off. That's where I think it's more about. And I think it's more, you're going to take some time. And if it is that first 6 games and they get back from London and whatever, like then maybe Dylan Gabriel gets his crack at it. I'm dead serious, guys. If they're going to be bad, I hope they win. And I hope they win more games than 6 is where I'm predicting them at. I really, you guys know me. I hope and pray they do. I don't know if I want to pray on pro sports, but I really hope they do. God's got other things to worry about.
You guaranteeing 6?
No. I want them to win more games than 6, but it ain't going to win many games. I demand to be entertained. If Bailey Zappi rolls out there before Shedeur Sanders, you're going to have to hold me back. I'm going to have a hard time holding these alligators down. Because you want to talk about no future, you can sit there and yell at me all you want. You got no future with that guy. Okay, I ain't got no future with Bailey Zappi either.
You don't think?
And we certainly don't have a future with number 4 going out there. So what Nick said at the end of the conversation with us, that better not happen.
Yeah, he threw that in at the end just to cause chaos and confusion.
Yes, it did. But I'm going to take the over on Joe. I think that he's better suited with Kevin. I think Kevin is better than what I've even wanted to give him credit for at times because I've been frustrated as a fan. I think he does a better job than we realize at trying to take care of the entire situation. His defense and his special teams. I said this to you yesterday. I think so many offensive coordinators become head coaches and they just get caught in offensive coordinator mode where it's yards, first downs, points, yards, first down, points, and that's great, except you got to go play defense. and you're the head coach now, so you have to manage everything.
Yeah.
So when you're the offensive coordinator, you got guys telling you, hey, you better calm down, because that's what the head coach is supposed to do. You're the manager of everything. Because it's not about scoring and making a 14-point lead into a 21-point lead. That's nice. That's better. But if it's a 2-possession game with 6 minutes left, we're going to run down some of this clock. And I think Kevin has done a better job than what we wanted. Now, there's been times I've been upset, but I think Kevin does a better job than what we want to admit. Save the Nick Chubb touchdown from years ago. I defended Nick on that. I think that Joe will be good enough for that level, and I think that he will be not the first guy out, which is not a great bar to set.
Even in the game,
the odds are that high that he would be the first one out. I have to discuss it.
I think people misremember parts of the Texans game. The last time we saw Joe Flacco in a Browns uniform, that the first half, Joe Flacco was on. It's just they didn't convert some third downs because the pressure got to him and he got taken down. But he was completing passes. He was throwing up and down the field with C.J. Stroud. He was kind of right there with him. And then the second half happened. You're down a few scores, and you get desperate, and the Texans knew what you were going to do, and then the bad Joe Flacco emerged.
Yeah.
But people act like he was just terrible all game. He wasn't. He was really good in the first half. They just didn't have a lot of points to show for it.
Do we have the proper audio
yes,
now?
We've got a
good.
Nick,
we've got a correction to the guarantee.
I would never get this type of courtesy. I just want to point that out for everybody.
Well, the show would be out.
They do
it'd be
everything
out of time.
they
It'd be
can
over.
to make me sound like a moron. Go right on ahead. Play the audio.
Given a Browns win or the Browns get blown out on Sunday, there's only one option, and it's a Browns win. I'm going to rubber stamp it with a guarantee, knowing that this sound will be played against me in the damn future. There is no way the Browns are getting blown out.
Why did they cut that part out?
It almost sounds like it was added in. Like that last part was added in to make this argument look bad.
There is no way the Browns are getting blown out.
Mitch, can we get Mitch?
I've had different audio thrown in there. Everybody thinks I hate Ohio State because of the way that Kitty cut it years ago.
No, this is.
I hate Ohio State.
That was real.
Yeah,
that
that's
happened.
as fake as it gets.
Mitch, is this doctored audio? What happened here?
This is not doctored audio from what I've gathered.
Okay, it seemed like you didn't
Who
gather
made the audio?
the actual clip.
I had gathered the clip that was initially in the afternoon drive folder, but I will go back next time and get the original audio and make sure to play it in full.
Wait, you're saying
I
whoever
don't
clipped
blame
it.
Mitch.
You're saying whoever clipped it
Check
for the
your phone.
afternoon show.
Yeah.
You're saying they clipped it wrong.
I'm not blaming anybody in particular. I am just saying that
I will.
particular clip was cut short.
You say in particular funny, but I'm not going to blame you. I'm going to blame Jake Mirren. I think Jake Mirren set out to sabotage.
A saboteur
I think it's a deep state inside job by the producer and Nick Wilson show.
Even after you
and
said
John
he
Fever.
was a fine producer. Wow.
I know.
I want to let the record be straight here. I'm not blaming Mitch on this one. Like you guys said, this is on Mirren. Bad job.
Whoa!
Bad job.
The run-in from the boss said it.
You can't hear the
Inside
music
job on
right
your own
now.
show, making your guys look bad.
Keith, you can't hear the music right now, but go ahead. Power rank those producers. Let's go.
Let's see.
How many do we have?
Yeah, go right on ahead. Power rank them producers.
Mike's going it out here.
Oh, man. It's okay. We'll have a meeting about it after the show. That's fine.
All right, well, afternoon
Yes,
show,
we
they have
will.
to get down to the bottom. It looks like they've got to get their own house in order.
Just, guys, call in this afternoon and just pressure him to guarantee a win. If anybody has school children, have the school children call him. Nick's as nice as me when it comes to kids, right? Like, there's no way he will say no to school children over guaranteeing a Browns victory.
There is no way the Browns are getting blown out.
I think I'm taking the Browns to win. I just won't guarantee.
Does he hate Ohio State too?
I'm taking the Browns to win.
Of course he does.
Which immediately Henry says we're going to lose 31-10. Okay. That's great.
Well, Kenny,
that's great.
We
You're
gotta-
damned if you do, damned if you don't. You guys say I'm too negative, and then all of a sudden I say I still think the Browns are going to win. I thought the Browns were going to win even when we were quote-unquote being negative.
That's true.
And now they're going to lose 31-10.
All right, Kenny,
Okay,
we
great.
got to go. There's our signature closing music.
Yeah. That what we're known for, that song, that riff. Okay, great. Podcast coming up, 10:15 Eastern, 92.3 The Fan Extra on the free Odyssey app, brought to you by Extend.
We're going to get down to the bottom of the scout team thing, and I think we're
Why
going
do
to
you
go.
care so much about the scout team
And
stuff?
I think we're going to have Delaney Dawson on to talk more about it.
Oh, is the season on the line tonight for the Guardians?
Ooh.
4-game series.
Tonight
You're
against
3
the
games
Rays.
back. You're playing the Rays. Are ahead of you. Season on the line tonight. We'll discuss it. Ken Carman, Tone Master General. For Mitch, for Jake Murin, the Saboteur. I'm Ken Carman. Have a wonderful day, my friends. Go Guardians. Let's go.
Shadur.
Hey, sounds good.
Where's your